Good evening everyone, welcome to FGM eCast for your Tuesday night, and it is AUSPROAM Sim Series night. We're here with Pass 2 on the screen right now, and the guys are just out doing their warm-up at the moment, so we're just with them here. It's going to be a couple more minutes before we get into qualifying. It should be a cracking session. We're at Circuit of the Americas, of course, for Pass 2, second of our GT3 rounds, but of course, the third round of the series so far. So we're just warming up here. We've got a fair bit to go in the season, of course, which is great news for everybody. And COTA is going to be a very, very challenging race for the drivers tonight. So let's see how they get on with this circuit. We've got qualifying coming up. It is open qualifying if it's the first time you join us. Got the track map up on the right hand side there. You can see a number of drivers out on the track as we speak. And we are just going to ease our way into tonight, of course, as we've got Scotty Rankin and Carl Withy to join us a little later on in the program for the main series. So let's ease through this one. The race itself tonight, just bringing it up for us. We've got a single race here tonight as usual, and we've got the double session later on for the Pro-Am runners, which is coming up straight after this, after we have the drivers' interviews at the end of this race. So we'll look forward to that one, but plenty to come before a 30-minute race here at Circuit of the Americas. It's going to be a challenging one for the drivers. Flowing nature of the circuit. It's quite a wide open circuit as well. In fact, celebrating, I believe it's 9th birthday in a day or two, where the circuit built, let's see, nearly 9 years ago at this stage, and it's a cracking course. Can't say it's one. It's polarizing is probably the word for it between the drivers. So there was a change in the setup for the cars for this race, opting for the high downforce setup in these vehicles. Of course, as you know, we'll know, a fixed setup race here, and the drivers looking for a little bit more grip. So the administrators decided it was going to be better for racing to have the high downforce setup run for this evening. So that is what we're going to see here. So should be good for some nice close racing, some good passing opportunities. We're on board now with Isaac Edwards in the 115 or the 115 entry, as it just comes down to that hairpin one of turn 11, I should say, one of those really strong passing opportunities. Next one coming up now here as well with turn 12, a very slow left-hander, doubles back on itself before you do head down for the run down towards the finish line through the remaining corners. So there will be an opportunity there for the drivers to get a pass done. It's plenty of opportunities tonight across this great circuit. Does play host, or has had played host to Formula 1, IndyCar, and a number of different events across the year. So AUSPASS no different in terms of its production for the series tonight. Let's run through quickly the championship standings as they sit. So we do have a pretty tight battle, as you'd expect at this stage of the season. Up at the top of the field, it is Brett Barker driving the Lamborghini. So he is currently leading the championship, 566 points. Behind him is Sebastian Vandel, 527, and just 1 point behind him in third is Blake Urquhart. So quite tight at the top there. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Peter Hunter. He's got 420 points, followed by Matty Stewart. Then John Baldwin and our very own Scotty Rankin, who's got Nathan Verney, I should say, in P8, with Nick Buxton and Andrew Goldman rounding out our top 10. So the span between Brett Barker and P10 stands at 260 points. So quite a gap, but as I said, there's still plenty of rounds to go. Of course, COTA tonight. We've got Monza coming up next week for the first of our Enduros. Then Indy, followed by Mid-Ohio, Hungary, Montreal, rounding out the season at Zolder and Bathurst. So there's plenty to go. And do remember that there are drop rounds as well. So the two drop rounds, the drivers' two worst rounds, or three worst rounds, I believe, will get removed. So that will have a big impact on the outcome of the championship when we get there, but plenty of time to come between now and then. So just waiting for qualifying now. We've got a minute and a half to go. I'm going to get straight into that one. The Pro-Am series just starting to warm up as well. So we're getting that ready in the background while we keep an eye on what goes on here. Challenge of the dual stream. We will get there. And of course, the series itself continues to go from strength to strength. There's a number of highlights packages on our YouTube channel if you're wanting to have a look at those, to give you some insight into what happened over the last couple of weeks. We've had a very, very good start here, particularly at Spa, the first race of the season, where we saw the LMP2s and the Radicals have a crack at it, and that was conducive to some really close racing, as you would expect. So if you're in the chat, do jump in, say hello, let us know where you're watching from, who you're looking for. Smith Racing XL92's already popped in, said he's looking for the Vast boys tonight, see how they're going to get on. So he is in and involved in the stream. So I've seen AC Racing 44 come in as well and say hello. G'day to those guys wherever you're watching from. Of course, Smithy should be running tonight, but not able to get in. So here we go. So we're into qualifying now. So we're going to stay on board with Isaac Edwards, who is one of the series sponsors with In Design. So if you're looking for a racing livery, whatever the case might be, then they are the place to go. Gordon, thanks very much for that, mate, for helping me out. Still learning the names of the new drivers in the series. But we're sticking on board here with Isaac Edwards. So you'll see here, it isn't single qualifying. So there is the potential to use the draft down the straight. So Isaac Edwards, the pioneer here in his run. And he will be looking to potentially use someone a little bit later on. It's a 10-minute qualifying session. So for the drivers to get the job done. And then they Probably will get 2 laps in here before they head back in. Potentially chuck some new tyres on it and have a last stitch effort. See if they can get a faster time in, which they may be able to do here. It looks like the session's a little bit overcast. So we'll have a quick look at the track conditions. So 24 degrees track temp, and yeah, it is cloudy. So the other thing here as well, there are no lights at Circuit of the Americas. So as it gets darker, it will get harder to see. We should see that a little bit more in the Pro-Am race a little bit later on. Andrew Kazinga back in it for this week as well. So there's a few drivers in here, I think, observing. Which is, makes our job a little bit difficult, but we'll see how we get on. So Isaac's already got some challenges behind him. So let's jump on board with him and have a look as he makes his way through here. The Lamborghini's already gone through in front of him. He's going to make his way around the track. They're only really going to get 2 full laps probably at this track. They may get around for the third. They keep it going. Sector, fastest sector so far in the 082 entry. We're looking for a good qualifying stint here if he can get it. Try and maintain his position in the championship, but we'll stick it through here with Isaac Edwards as he comes around. Just making his way through the tighter section of the track. You can see it's plenty wide here, of course, set up for open wheelers, so there's lots of runoff area as well for the drivers, and it's a pretty good track for passing out, which should be conducive for some really good racing throughout this field. Of course, the AUSPASS series as a whole, very tightly contested. So Isaac Edwards is going to come across the line here to finish this parade lap for us. He's done a 2:11.75. John Baldwin's done a 2:09. Scotty Rankin, if you don't mind, a 2:07.2, so he'll be happy with that. Looking to stick out the front, but then Nathan Verney comes in with a 2:06.85 just to put himself up into provisional pole. So how will the second lap go? Probably would have been okay on that first lap out with the temperature of the track and the overcast conditions playing into their advantage a little bit. We did see Scotty Rankin as well make a change this week from the Lamborghini to the Ferrari. The McLaren to the Ferrari. So he has made a change in vehicle, which is permitted through the season. The drivers do have access to a limited number of vehicle changes. So Scotty Rankin has that, and that's serving him well. The Audi of Nathan Verney there doing good things. Let's jump on board and have a look at how he's going on his second lap around. Scott Rankin Purple in the second sector, green in the third sector. Lost a little bit of time in that first sector though, so this could be an improvement for him. There's Vernie here looking to do the same thing. 206.85, the measure at the moment. Looks like there's a number of drivers yet to complete a full lap without an off track. In fact, we've got more than 8 drivers who haven't actually completed a lap. They've gone round. They'll be completing their second flying lap now, but haven't managed to do that without incurring a penalty. So Scotty Rankin goes quicker again, 206.3 to answer a question about that second lap. You'd expect to see Vernie here just improve. He's got 1 green sector, 2 slightly slows, and a purple final sector to go P1 with a 206.61 in fact. So he does improve, but not quite able to get there. So you can see it displayed there on the bottom, just saying that 206.297 of Scotty Rankin is the lap time to beat. And those drivers so far not able to do that, so Scotty Rankin's still fastest. These guys will get 1 more lap out of these cars before it will be over. A number of the drivers now get through flying laps. Hendrik Kazinga is coming through to complete his second flying lap. Hopefully he's able to register a time this time without an off track. This looks like unfortunately he's not been able to. Nick Wallance in the same position, not able to register a time. Jason Dunn the same position, unable to register a time. So they've all incurred off track penalties on their way around this circuit. So that's probably through the chicane there. There's a little bit of benefit of the draft here for Vernie. He'll be looking for that benefit. That's Nick Monst in front of him. Great looking livery on that Porsche. Worm Paints put that one together. So was Vernie there just gets across the sausage on the inside of that corner. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. Scotty Rankin's got a purple second sector, green third sector, so he's going faster again. Knows he's got to get it done, and Vernie there just runs wide. That will cancel out that lap, so he's going to have one more opportunity. The Ferrari certainly playing into Scotty's hands, running the AGIP livery there as well. It's one of my favourites. That one gets a run when I'm in the Ferrari. And Rankin again improves the fastest lap, 206.1. So he'll stay out there if he can to try and run one more lap. See how he gets on. Whether or not he can get it across the line and keep that pole position. It's Vernie in second, Brett Barker in third. All down under the 207 marker. And then Peter Hunter just above it with Liam Caplice as well as Blake Urquhart. Sebastian Vandel, John Baldwin, Adam Whalen, who just jumps up into P6, Adam Whalen, so good lap from him. And Scotty Rankin's decided to pull the pin on that lap, happy with what he was doing. Vernie's still out there. Can he do anything to address the half a second gap between himself and Scotty Rankin at the front? As Sebastian Vandel goes P2 with a 206.56. So you can see there that it's 7 1/1000ths faster than the lap put in by Hendrik Krasinga, who finally gets one across the line, and it's a good time to do it too, as he jumps up into P3. So it's all here to do for Vernie in the Locked On Lads entry. He's got 2 red sectors, so I'd say this will not be good enough to get him across the line. He's going to finish this lap out, but he has a mountain to climb here if he's going to get onto the front row. It's finished for Vandel and for Krasinga. Liam Caplice out on a flyer, Whalen still out on a flyer, so we've got a couple still to go here if they get around before the session times out. That's the big challenge. Third red sector for Vernie, so looks like he's going to be starting off the second row of the grid with the more technical section of the track here. The Audi turned in. Andrew Goldman on a good lap. Looks like he's going to improve from P12. 2 green sector, 3 green sectors now for Goldman. Then he comes down to the final corner to bring this one across the line. Dare say this won't be an improvement for him. And it is not. So he's going to end up starting from the second row. How's Andrew Goldman go? 2:08 does improve, moves himself up into P11. So an improvement at the final hurdle there for him. Gets that one across the line. The qualifying session now is over. A couple of guys still just making their way around the track. That's Ben Pollock there just finishing up, coming up across the line. So got a good looking field here tonight. It's a decent grid for the third round of the Pass 2 series of the AUSPROAM Sim Series here at Circuit of the Americas on FGM Ecast. Just waiting for the session to conclude. Certainly got a full looking grid in the Pro-Am series. They are out on track now, just doing their practice session. Starts about 10 minutes later than the Pass 2 series, so they'll do their full practice before we jump across and bring that one to you very shortly hereafter. Big thanks to our series partner, simrigs.com, primary partner and sponsor of the AUSPROAM Sim Series. Chuka Toyota, of course, jumping on board this year or this season as well. We welcome them to the stream. HJ Plant Repairs, our initial partner on the AUSPROAM Sim Series. We thank them again for their support. Phoenix Smokers, of course, who wouldn't want a smoker in their backyard? Well, I can tell you there'd be a couple of people who wouldn't, but I certainly would. So welcome them to the stream. And of course, Computer Technology Corporation back for their second season supporting the AUSPROAM Sim Series. And last but not least, 93PC. So we've got you covered if you're looking to get into sim racing. And I know I saw again, simrigs.com getting more of their stock in. Got a whole heap of the direct drive SimMagic Minis in. So if you're looking for a new wheel package, it is simrigs.com who we would love if you would consider supporting. As we open up the grid here for round 3 of Pass 2 of the AUSPROAM Sim Series, and it is Scotty Rankin off pole, first pole in AusPass with Sebastian Varndell in 2. Then it's Hendrik Kazinga and Nathan Verney off row 2 with Brett Barker and Peter Hunter off 3. Then it's Liam Caplice and Adam Whalen off row 4 with Blake Urquhart and John Baldwin off 5. Then Andrew Goldman and Ben Pollock off row 6 as we move further back in the grid to Blake Urquhart. To Nick Wunst and Rodney Hobbs off row 7. Then it's Isaac Edwards, Jason Dunn off row 8 with Shane Mahoney off row 9. Sam Lehman and Dale Carpenter here to observe. As we have a look at the field here from the rear of the grid. It is a timed race. 30 minutes pit stop will be required. When will the drivers take it? Of course, not able to take that stop on lap 1. They will need to make sure that they get it done throughout the duration of the race. How late will they run? Some of them run deep. Try and run the long strategy. Get some clear air here tonight. Get the undercut done. Or are we going to see everyone try and stay out late? It is a rolling starter course. The grid has to run at control of Scotty Rankin. 100 kilometres an hour. There was some stuff in the driver's briefing and a change to the rules for the series for the start after a couple of issues in the start last week. But this week, 100 k's an hour, Scotty Rankin will control the field. No driver is allowed to go racing until that light goes green. And when it does go green, they will be off and running here at the Circuit of the Americas. Or Circuit of the Americas. The Circuit of the Americas. Circuit of the Americas. Whatever you want to call it. Circuit of the Americas. COTA is as it's lovingly known. And we are away behind the safety car. So, championship implications here. The driver's going to be looking for a good finish. And they're going to need to be careful down into turn 1, that hairpin at the start of the lap. Got a good long run down there, which means there's going to be plenty of opportunity to draft. But of course, that means there's plenty of opportunity for the drivers to potentially get themselves into strife as well down into turn 1, so there'll be some jostling for position as we get ready to run here. Just going through this last few sections, so a little bit of an extended run for the warm-up. Linking there, looks like Krasinga, just maybe with a connectivity issue. Might want to see, particularly down into turn 1. 5.5 kilometres long this track. As I said, plenty wide, plenty of runoff, so we should hopefully not see too much attrition as the pace car pulls in. You can see their pit entry on the left-hand side. As we said, get out of this corner and it will be up to 100 kilometres an hour. They need to go. Doesn't look like we're doing that, to be brutally honest. Maybe there's been some change there. We're waiting for the light to go green as we circle down to the start-finish line. And there it goes. We are away here at Circuit of the Americas, and a good start there for Krasinga and for Varney as well. Vandel, my apologies, as well. As we head down into turn 1, there's jostling for position. There's cars disappearing on and off the track. We've got a car going around as well that looks like Adam Whalen, who's gone around in turn 1. Said it could be treacherous. There's a little bit of movement there. I think the problem is that Krasinga's flashing on and off the screen. Scotty Rankin gets into him there, a little bit of damage, but it is Vandel and Sebastian Vandel who gets away at the front of this field, and he has opened up a gap already. Liam Caplice jumped up into second place, so he's already up 5 positions. A cracking start for him with Scotty Rankin in P3. Looks like Krasinga and Blake Urquhart might have got into one another. That with the blinking there, that's going to hurt. So those guys will jump into pit lane on lap 1. They will use their fast repair to get those cars back up to scratch. Another big mover here, John Baldwin up 4 positions already into P6. And we also have Isaac Edwards, who jumped 5 spots on the start as well. He's now up inside the top 10. So a good start for both of those drivers at the front of the field, but it is Liam Caplice who's chasing down Sebastian Vandel, who made a ripping start in the Ferrari to get a good gap at the lead of this pack. You can see there as we head down into turn 12 that he's got a decent lead over the remainder of the field. At the moment, 1.4 seconds to the good. So he'll be looking to maintain that and extend that gap as this race continues. The good news is, for those cars that got damaged, if you can take any good news out of it, is that they are going to be able to get the fast repair done, and they'll be able to then try and resurrect their race with the long run strategy. So it's a 30-minute run here tonight, as you can see on the top left-hand side of your screen there. So we're just following along here with Vandel, who's going to bring us around to finish the first lap. Only one car out at the moment, that's the 17 of Hendrik Krasinga. As much for the internet connection, I think, is probably the cause of his main issue as anything else. So the field just stretched out a little bit now. We've got a little bit of a battle going on back here. This is for P5 and 6. So Baldwin here chasing down Vernie in the Locked On Lads entry. He's got some work to do. He will be looking to get back up onto the back of Brett Barker and use the toe where he can. John Baldwin in the right gap. So he was around about a second there to make his way. It looks like Blake Urquhart's had another issue as well as he's gone around. That Ferrari is very heavily damaged, so he's going to go straight into pit lane. Yeah, he's just got some steering damage there that's impacting on his ability to get that car around the circuit. So he'll pull in, get that repaired, and head back out to try and resurrect his race. He's going to be half a lap down, just as a consequence of that early damage. So Scotty Rankin closing in on Liam Caplice here. This battle for P2 starting to warm up. Caplice in the McLaren, Scotty Rankin in the Ferrari. Scotty was running the McLaren last week, so he'll be familiar with what that car can do as he tries to chase it down. in the newly minted GT3 Ferrari. Very popular amongst the drivers. Certainly the old version was as well. It's a driver's car. It's very easy to drive, easy to go fast in, but it's a comfortable car to drive is what I should try and describe. And Van Del showing that as well at the front. He's got the fastest lap of the race so far. First flying lap was a 2:07.63. He's going to improve on that now with a 2:06.29. And Liam Caplice goes just slightly faster with a 2:06.25. Scotty Rankin down there is a 2:05.6, but I suspect that may have had an off track as it's gone pink. And the fastest lap of the race is actually now belongs to Brett Barker with a 2:05.89. So he's in 4th position, trying to close up on this battle between Rankin and Caplice. In the Lamborghini he is, and we've got an Audi in P5, so we've got 4 of the manufacturers in the top 5 so far. Lead Porsche is Andrew Goldman, currently running in 7th position. And then you've got to go all the way down to Rodney Hobbs in 14th for the first of the Mercedes. Falling a little bit out of favour, the old Mercedes. Great livery there on Rodney Hobbs' car with the skulls all over. It looks fantastic. I believe actually they're pandas, I should say. What do I call them? Skulls. Can't stew, they're clearly pandas. So he's got Mad Panda all over the car. And looks really, really good there. But representing Mercedes, currently running a P11. Well, let's check in this battle between Caplice and Rankin. Continues to be one of the closest on track. In fact, this is the closest battle on track. Oh, as we just see there, one of the fast boys, the 338 of Alan Wayland, just get into, oh geez, and very close there for the others trying to avoid the incident there. Looks like they got into Ben Pollock. And that'll be had a little bit of a look at the end of the race. Just go back here, quickly have a look at the replay. So you can just see there Wayland down the inside in the McLaren, and it looked like that potentially they're a little bit of out braking from the 86, just not quite able to get it turned in, Ben Pollock. And when he did get grip and get it to turn back in, there was a McLaren in the way, so he may have a little bit of a please explain. But they'll be able to keep going. So he's decided to jump into the pits, Wallen, and he's going to get the service done. Gee, he's going real slow there. I imagine maybe he's frantically trying to check in his pit strategy. Almost missed the turn in. Collected the wall instead. Gap building at the front now though. Out to 1.6 seconds. Something must have happened to Scotty Rankin is on his way through. So what I was going to say is Brett Barker has put in a strong lap because he's now closed that gap down to within a second. So as we head down through turn 11, this is where the benefit will come for those drivers. They're going to get the draft down this long back straight. And watch here, Scotty Rankin in the Ferrari trying to close that gap. The Lamborghini not quite able to get much damage done there. Did close the gap down under the second. But that Ferrari closing up nicely on the back of Liam Caplice in the iWake Motorsport entry. The battle's just cooling down a little bit. Isaac Edwards in the mix. I say cooling down. Oh wow, there's the 13 of Rodney Hobbs, just barges his way through there. Uses the old hip and shoulder and makes his way through. So that's not a lot of gap given there. Again, that one might attract some attention. Just see there Jason Dunn just run a little bit wide down through turn 12, which does double back on itself. If you outbrake yourself there, you're going to be in big trouble. He's now being pursued by Nick Warnst in the Porsche. We've got a car out of position there as well, just blinking on the screen. I'd say that's Hendrik Kazinga, again, still with that connectivity issue. So he's a lap down now in P17. Nick Lawrence makes his way down the front straight, across the line, 4 laps through, 10 minutes, onto the 9th minute, doing the 10th minute, into the 10-minute zone of the race. So approaching the pit window to make it comfortable to the end. They cap on the tanks here so they can fill up as much as they want. But we'll make it to that stage where they're going to have to pit around about the 15-minute mark by my estimation. At this stage, Sebastian Vandel out in front, so he'll run as long as he can. Scotty Rankin might consider an undercut here if he can't get past. Doesn't look like he's being held up yet by Caplice. He's having a big look down the inside towards turn number 12, but he wasn't quite far enough up to be able to get that done. So he may consider trying to do an undercut, getting some clean air. But at this stage, probably benefiting from the draft as much as anything else. So may decide just to stay in there. Lap time's very, very similar between the two. And maintaining pace in the leader as well. In fact, right across the top 5, they're all in the mid 206s. So no one able to stretch their legs too far. Pack does start to spread a little bit behind them. Another battle developing here between Rodney Hobbs and Nick Ronst in the Porsche. These two fighting out for P11 and 12. Not the strongest track for the Porsche here. It's not able to quite get up and boogie. Well, it might favour the Merc a little bit. It does have some good straight line pace generally. Of course, it's a beast of a thing to get to turn with that really long nose that it sports. You can see here that Lawrence is trying to get the move done. He's going to use the draft going down the front straight. See if he can get the move done down into turn 1, down into the hairpin as Hobbs moves across the track. That is good driving from Lawrence to still try and get down the inside of him there. As Hobbs goes on the defensive now, gets the flop, gets the cross back done. Looks like Lawrence now up into the slalom. Oh, as he's overcooked it and he's rotated the back of the Porsche and he is off into the fence. So how much damage has been done to the back of that car? Actually none. He's done a really good job there of managing to catch it in the 916. Those rear tyres will be well and truly warm. In the meantime, we've missed the move. Scotty Rankin's managed to make his way past P2, but you can just see there Brett Barker having a big look down the inside as they head up towards turn 12, through turn 12 I should say. Rankin's made his way past Caplice. Caplice now under pressure from Brett Barker. Behind him in the Lamborghini. 12 minutes through 30. So can Scotty Rankin reel in Sebastian Vandel? Vandel with a 2.5 second lead. At the moment, Andrew Goldman now defending from Peter Hunter in a battle of the Porkers. Small gap between those two. So far, just those who caught some damage throughout the race so far have jumped in through the pits. Adam Wallens pitted on lap 3. Blake Urquhart on lap 1 along with Henrik Kazinga. Nick Lawrence has just jumped in after that spin, so he'll get some new... a tank of fuel on that one as Hunter goes wide there on the exit. He may cop an off track for that one, or at the very least an off track. They've changed the way that they allocate off tracks now, so that it's a lot more realistic, where you have to have all the wheels off the track to cop a penalty. As Goldman now gets back down underneath, he's defending heavily. We head down into turn 11, manages to keep that closed out. So now the question is, can Hunter use the draft in the Porsche to get back past him down into 12? And see here, Goldman will move across to defend on the inside. So with the draft, can he get the move done around the outside? It's going to favour him. Even if he can stay alongside him, it's going to favour him into turn 13. So that's what Hunter will be trying to do. In fact, he's decided to try and go the crisscross. May not work quite as well there. In fact, he's lost some pace, so he is going to have to set him back up again. You can see he's closed right up again there as we head through 13, 14, now into 15. Slow down, double apex into 16. Good exit there for Hunter. Good exit for Goldman though as well, so he's not going to be able to get the move done as they head through the sweepers 17 and 18. Heavy braking zone down into 19. Get the car turned in, make their way through the corner and prepare for the slow left-hand last corner, turn 20 on this circuit. And I think you see there Hunter's gone into pit lane. So he's going to try and get the undercut done here if he can. So this lap here needs to be good for Andrew Goldman. He needs to put in a quick one. Rodney Hobbs jumps into pit lane now as well as we reach that 15-minute mark of the race. Expect to see a number of the drivers jump in now. That tank runs dry. Varndell, our race leader. Scotty Rankin has managed to address some of that gap. It's now 1.4 seconds between the leader and Scotty Rankin. As someone's gone around in the background there, and I can hear some damage as well. Didn't see who that was, but it is Varndell from Rankin, and then Caplice looks like he's still under attack from Brett Barker in the Lamborghini. They're heading down towards turn 12. So Lambo just trying to use the draft to its advantage. Pulls out, has a sneaky look, knows he's not. Oh, in fact, he goes for it. Very late on the brakes in the Lambo. Not able to get it done. Pulls up well though. Doesn't impact on Lamb Caplice, which is good as they head back down through. What this has done is this battling that's been going on between Rankin, Caplice and Barker has opened the door somewhat for Nathan Verney, who is currently closing the gap to P4 Brett Barker. So while these two keep battling, that is going to suit Verney. Be happy about that. So who of our leaders is going to jump first into pit lane? Can't have too many more, maybe one more lap left in it before they have to run through the pits. From Baldwin now in pit lane from P6. So we do still have a number of runners out there. Goldman, Pollock, Dunn, Isaac Edwards. None of those gentlemen have jumped through pit lane. Neither has Shane Mahoney. Baldwin deciding he's had enough. As Scotty Rankin having some internet connectivity issues there as well. So he's now under a second off the lead of this race. Sebastian Varndell just dropping a little bit of pace. So even with that blinking, Scotty's still managing to close the gap. He chases down our race leader. Qualifying has got underway in the Pro-Am split. Race will follow this immediately. But what a battle we've got here at the front. This race far from over. Now half a second. Scotty Rankin can smell the lead of this race. Varndell's going to have work to do. These guys are probably going to jump into pit lane at the same time, so it's going to be who has got the fuel calculation as correct as they can, spend the least amount of time stationary Get that exit right. Get the entrance into pit lane right. Make sure you get into the pit box perfectly. And who can make it out in front? That could be all that's needed tonight. It's just a mistake. Oh, and he's running late. I saw it. Very well done there from Vandel. He's left it right to the last minute. Gets on the anchors. Gets the Ferrari pulled up. That is a fantastic entrance from Vandel. So Scotty Rankin's going to run that extra lap. What is he going to be able to do on the extra lap? Can he address that half a second gap with some clean air and a very, very light Ferrari? As Vandel go with his stop. It's about as late as you'd like to leave it. Very well executed. Gets straight into the box. It's going to get that thing fueled up. You can see there as well that Vernie, Barker, Caplice all jumped in at the same time. Goldman, Pollock. Can't see Scotty Rankin to have saved that much fuel. So let's jump on board with him here. See how he's getting on. See if he is having to coast a little bit to make sure he makes it round another lap. So he's on his way down towards turn 11. Doesn't look like he's needing to save at all, running that Ferrari right out to the rev limiter. So he thinks he can make it without any problem, so that's good to see. How is this battle going to transpire now? As Vandel did emerge in P2, Caplice in 3, Barker in 4th, Vernie in 5. Vernie closed the gap into that pit lane stop as well, so he is now in that grouping. You can see it on the screen. They're heading up towards the top right-hand corner of the screen as you look at it, which is turn 11. Still looks like a big gap, but it has closed down there for Vernie in the Locked On Lads entry. Scotty Rankin now trying to maximise the speed in this lap. He'll do his fastest lap of the race if he can. Last time around 2:07.46. Would have been with a little bit of the benefit of the draft as well. Ferrari's tank will be very, very light. So without anybody in front of him, how does he go? He is definitely going to have to pull into pit lane here. He's equally got to execute. It's a great entrance from Vandel. Scotty Rankin responds with a very similar pit lane entry, nice and smooth. He's got the furthest pit box, having put that on P1. 156 entry. So he's heading up there now. Gets it pulled up nicely. He's going to fuel that up and go. We're waiting to see as Vandel comes down onto the main straight now. Here he comes. He is running. Scotty on his way out of pit lane. It's going to be very, very close. Scotty's going to emerge on the left-hand side of the track here. They head around the hairpin. Where is he? He's there right in front, so it's as close as it can be. Our top three, you can see them here in a conga line. Vandel comes out, the gap there, 0.38 of a second, so Scotty Rankin jumps in pit lane. His stop, his total time in pit lane, 1 second to the good. That is the advantage. He made up that half a second he was behind in pit lane and jumps out to a half a second lead out of pit lane. So it's all for Vandel to do here now with 7.5 minutes to go in this race. As Rankin blinks again. Internet issues, not what we want to see. We want this race to run to its conclusion. It's going to be a fierce battle at the front here between the Ferraris and that McLaren of Liam Caplice. He's had a blinder, driving really well. Up 4 positions into P3 to compete for the lead of this motor race. It's just fallen off the back a little bit there. The Ferrari's getting a better exit, so Vandel needs to jump into the draft. He needs to make that happen. It's got to be his first focus so he can get the benefit on the back straight. Try and make his way up into P1. Scotty Rankin just needs to keep doing what he was doing. Shane Mahoney looks to have had an issue. You can see the smoke there just in front of our race leaders. Just having a look back through the field to see if there are any other battles. At the moment there's not a lot going on. It is our race leaders who are close. So let's stick at the front here and have a look Shea Mahoney just gets past there by the leaders. Makes room for them. This is where Vandel needs to be able to make up the gap. You can see, smell the exhaust from Scotty Rankin. So he knows he's within the draft as that closes that gap down to half a second now. It's what he needs to do. Just the next lap or two, focus on maintaining that gap at that half a second as we get back around onto the back straight and use that to his advantage down into turn 12. So this is a fast flowing section of this track. It's very, very easy to run wide there, carrying too much pace, getting carried away. Not happened here for Vandel. He's done a good job closing that gap. Uses plenty of track there, which you can do. Just avoid that sausage curve on the inside, get a good exit on the run down to turn 11. You can see this braking area here can be a little difficult. It's downhill leading to uphill, so it can throw you off, but you've got to get the car turning, get on the gas as early as you can, use as much of the exit as possible, and he does just that. He is in the draft. You'll see that gap start to tumble as they head down towards turn 12. So he just needs to keep that if he can and put that pressure on Scotty Rankin down across the start-finish line. So he's done it, the job so far. That gap closes right up here as they head through 12. Fixed series, no advantage for either driver in this car. This Ferrari's identical in setup. So it does come down to the driver, making it slightly lighter on fuel, having stopped one lap later. That benefit made up for by the draft here though. We head through 16 and 17. Sorry, 13 and 14, my apologies. 16 and 17. And 18 now done. Head towards the last corner. This is where Vandel has to get nice and close as he can. Brake as late as possible. Get back on the gas as early as possible to use the draft to his advantage. He's lost time here. 1 second is about where the draft loses its effectiveness. So good luck for Scotty Rankin there. He's able to open that gap at the front. If Vandel's not careful, he's going to lose that. And if he does lose that, then his chances are over. 26 minutes in. We're going to have probably 2 more laps here. This one and one more. Your white flag for Scotty Rankin next time around. He'll be absolutely pumped to be leading this race. We want to convert this to make a jump in the championship. So down into 12 we go again, and that gap has blown out, but what hasn't blown out is the challenge for P2. So it's on now. Vandel, Caplice, Brett Barker. This is where the battle is at now, as those 3 drivers have closed up. So the battle is on the McLaren. Oh, a little bit of a bump there. The McLaren of Vandel. Sorry, the Ferrari of Vandel getting bumped into by Caplice in the McLaren. My apologies there to Sebastian. Liam Caplice just a little bump on down that straight. And you can just see here Vandel defending against the McLaren, trying to use the track to help him defend, and he does well as they go through 13 and 14. Now the McLaren tries to stick its nose down the inside. It's a big dive, and he's got it done. He's managed to close it out, Brett Barker, but on the rebound, the Ferrari tries to get a move on. He's trying to go around the outside as there's contact. Contact there between Vandel and Barker as they battle for position. This has let Liam Caplice off the hook now. Caplice is stretching the legs on that McLaren in P2. So Barker now trying to close the gap down. There will be one more lap. In fact, we may get one more beyond this. Did not see the white flag come out there. I'm assuming it will though. There's less than 2 minutes to go. Scotty Rankin may get across the start-finish line for one more. Will that play havoc with some fuel numbers? It could. As Scotty Rankin here out to 3 seconds. Sorry, 2.5 seconds at the front. And the gap here starts to increase between Vandel and Barker. As John Baldwin now and Peter Hunter are having a fight. This is for P6. As the race gets towards its close, the battles are on. Baldwin and Hunter close together there. As the Lamborghini defends from the Ferrari, this is back up to this battle for P3. Brett Barker, Sebastian Vandel. The draft for the Ferrari will benefit it. Lamborghini punching that big hole as they run down towards turn 12. Just defending there, holding his line, Barker. Just able to make that Lamborghini feel that little bit wider for Sebastian Vandel behind him as he looks for a way around. Jump on board here with Scotty Rankin. So he's already making his way towards 13 and 14. Sweeper. This last few corners to navigate, and it will, I reckon, be a checkered flag here for Scotty Rankin. He'll be absolutely wrapped with that one. He's going to take the win here at COTA in the Ferrari. The change of car doing it for him, and Scotty Rankin takes out the win, followed by Liam Caplice and Brett Barker as our top three here for Pass 2, round number 3 at Circuit of the Americas. Sebastian Vandel is going to come across in 4th with Vernie in 5th. A good strong race from him. Peter Hunter and John Baldwin, however, this one's still not over as they head down into the final corner. There's a lap car in the way. Is that going to impact on it? No, he tries to stay out of the way, does the right thing there. Shane Mahoney, well done, but it is Peter Hunter who comes across in front of John Baldwin. Andrew Goldman's going to run across in P8 with Ben Pollitt looking like he's going to take home P9. And it will be Jason Dunn who rounds out our top 10 as he brings his McLaren across the line. Some really, really good close racing at the front of the field there. And the drivers will be happy with that. Scotty Rankin will most definitely be pleased with the outcome of the race there. In the Ferrari, Liam Caplice managing to make his way up 5 positions into P2. And biggest mover of the race with Jason Dunn up 6 spots into P10. So just edging out Liam Caplice there. But Caplice will be happy he's finished on the podium, as will Barker. Vandel will have some small implications for the championship. But he will be still pleased to have managed to keep that one where he did. We'll just wait for the drivers to jump in to the green room for us. Quick chat with them, but we will be jumping across, of course, to qualifying for the Pro Series. So that one coming your way in just a few minutes. So we'll bring that up on screen for you. This is qualifying on the screen now as we just wait for the drivers to jump into the green room. Got Scotty Rankin already there, so we'll get him in the booth in a sec. In fact, let's drag him in right now. He'll be chopping at the bit to say hello. Scotty Rankin, congratulations. A really, really well-driven P1, mate. It was a really, really good battle throughout between you all. You managed to run that one extra lap and then get the undercut done in the pit stop and save yourself a second, mate. Yeah, well, Liam had a good battle, managed to make his way up 5 positions, ended up finishing P2, and as you said there, Brett Barker as well, he was fighting with them all the way along, Vandell as well, so it was a good race at the front. Little bit of hip and shoulder, but some really close racing, and yeah, good run there. How much fuel did you jump into pit lane with, mate? That extra lap, we thought it might cost you. So it's, yep. Well, it all worked out for you in the end. We thought also we might go around for one more lap, but you just got across there just at the right time. It could have played havoc too, but no, you're still covered. Beautiful. No, well, congratulations. Obviously, a really good result. And the good news is, mate, you then now get to sit back and relax. And but no, you don't. You've got to jump into the commentary box with us and commentate on Pass 2. So we'll let you go and get refreshed, get yourself a cold drink, and we'll see you back in the box for the start of the race in probably about 5 minutes' time. Scotty Rankin there, winner of Pass 2, his first win in the series, a good drive, and as I said there, himself, it was Liam Caplice in P2 and Brett Barker taking out P3 in Pass 2, a really good solid run for that series. Just to mention as well, that series is still open if you are looking for a Tuesday night fixed GT Series League to run in. They are still accepting entrance into that series, so you can come and have a run, and there's bits and pieces. Jump into the Discord, apply online for Pass 2, and you can definitely have a look at running in that competitive series that you just got to witness. So let's have a look at what's going on here. I can tell you, look at that track map. There is action aplenty. We are under 2 minutes left in qualifying here. A 2:03.906 from Danny Davison. If you don't mind, that is a flying lap. We had a 2:05 in the qualifying for Pass 2. And up here, he has got the measure. John Merritt currently looking like he's in P2 with Adam Funslow in P3. So a good run from them in qualifying. Just had Liam Caplice jump into the green room. We'll bring him in just for a quick chat. Liam, congratulations, P2, mate. A good run there. I'll bring Brett in as well. You guys have jumped in. We've already had Scotty through. He's gone to towel off and get ready for commentary. We've got a minute to go in the Pro-Am qualifying. So, Liam, a good run from you, up 5 positions to jump into P2. Yeah, it looked like it, indeed, and yeah, there's a little bit of action at turn 1, and you sort of just managed to part the waters and run your way through. So that helped. You ducked in a lap early with the group, so with the Lamborghini with Brett and obviously with Sebastian as well. You guys all jumped in a row, and then it was on after that for the remainder of the race. Well, congratulations on P2. It certainly helped your championships. And just quickly, Brett, in the Lambo, you were pushing hard all night, mate, and just managed to get your way onto the podium there in the last couple of laps. It was, mate, it was. Yeah, well, you were there and pushing hard all night, mate, and it was certainly a good pass there. I think down into turn 12, you managed just to get the big beast of a Lambo turned back in underneath the nimble Ferrari, and you got it done, and a well-deserved P3 for you tonight. Yeah, they were. The Ferraris also had had a little bit of benefit there, but when there's the Lamborghini blocking the path, blocking the airways, it's always a help as well. But a really good run for you tonight. So there you have it, top three. Scotty Rankin, Liam Caplice and Brett Barker for Pass 2. As I said, that series still open, still spots available for you to have a drive in. So if you are looking for some, as you said there, close, clean, competitive GT3 racing in a fixed series, so you can turn up and run what you brung, so to say, then Pass 2 is it. Just jump on to iRacing and you can apply it for joining a league there, and of course the Discord as well. So a good place for people to jump in. And speaking of jumping in, I just noticed that one young Carl Withy has jumped into the combox right on time for the warm-up to take place here at Circuit of the Americas. Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, Scotty's fresh off the run there. The McLarens 1, 2 and 3. Danny Davison, John Merritt, Adam Funslow. Our front three at the moment. We're very quickly going to run through the grid. So it is Danny Davison, John Merritt off the front row with Funslow and Widders off 2, Connell and Boyd off 3 with Capel and Rizzo off 4. Then it's Turner and Bolton off 5 with Pettigrew and Fletcher off row 6 as we cycle through the field. Cardaleone and Mansell off 7. Fit and Levin off 8, Gray and Hughes off 9 with Peter and Rydell off 10, Hen and Audie off 11, Fit and Webster off 12, then it's Benson and Rosenblatt off 13, Court Harris off 14, Roberts and Boyd, it's Glenn Boyd off 15 with Ruwalt and Brookfield off 16, then it's Chappelle and Orty off 17, Miles Bond and Matty Johnson off 18 as we continue to get our way through this one. Cheney and Leach, then it's followed by Hayes and Racanello. We've got Mijok and McLaughlin, followed by Wang and Potts, Buchanan, Jackson, Orty and Carpenter, as we then go back to Heimgartner and Zach Wentz-Smith and Sam Lehman as we round out our grid and we get ready to go here. It will be green, 100k an hour. We're holding, waiting for the light to go green as the field makes its way through the last corner. And the light goes, and we are off and running here at Circuit of the Americas. A little bit calmer there, as you can just see Jack Widders slotting his way down to the inside into turn 1. Can everyone make their way through here? Let's wait and see. It looks like there's an incident in the background there. There's a couple of cars off. It looks like Boyd is off. And there's a huge grouping of cars off there as well with what looked like a very interesting rejoin. And I can tell you there's a lot of damage throughout the field. Yeah, absolutely. We spoke about the braking issues into that corner as well. It can catch you out, and it looks like it's caught a number out there. So they'll get their fast repair. There's no pit stop in this first race. It is a sprint to the finish. So they're going to miss out. They're going to have to come back in our feature race, our 40-minute feature race soon after this one, and see if they can do any better. But at the moment, Danny Davis and John Merritt getting out to a really good start at the front. Jack Widders up 1. I tell you what, Joshua Fit. Michael Rosenblatt, 16 positions gained off the start. He's in P10. In the BMW, the other of the BMWs, Jeff Connell, of course, in the Batmobile. He's up there. Matty Cardaleone, my apologies, again, in the Batmobile. We come down now to complete the first lap of this sprint race. And it is Danny Davison and John Merritt at the lead of the field as the numbers start to appear on the timing board. And I think we've got a refreshed Scotty Rankin with us as well. And Scotty, a tough start there, a little bit similar to Pass 2. Gents, just a question for the uneducated of us. Incident points are cumulative tonight or reset for the feature race? Reset. Okay, that's a huge factor because otherwise we probably would have seen most of the field go through for a drive-through at some stage during the night. 28, yeah, 28 degrees. Now, I just want to get this in early as well, if I can, guys. Circuit in America, not known for its track lighting. And I believe the lights really already taking some effect on the cars on track. That's kind of like sunset, though, isn't it, Scotty? Just having a look for that on the replay. So he looks to get the move done here underneath, I believe that's Michael Rosenblatt. And it is. He's just managed to get that pass done and defended again on the inside. Nicely done. Oh, there's contact there between Rosenblatt, just outbraking himself and just giving the number 64 entry a little bit of a love tap on the back. And scary. But it is Danny Davison up at the front. He's already on his way to lap another car. Looks like Aaron Raccanello. I think he was involved in that turn 1 incident. So he is down 24 positions, so certainly involved in some sort of damage on turn 1. Just going to jump back quickly, lads, as well, if we can have a look at an issue with... in fact, that might not have been what he was involved in. Let's go back here and have a look. This is Aaron Raccanello early on. Might have even been just a single car incident. Yeah, it's just... So Dustin Fletcher here down into turn 1, just getting a nose cut off. One of the Pace Syndicate guys. I think that might have been Hugh McLaughlin, who was involved in that one. That's that catch out there, Carl, you're talking about with that uphill braking zone. Now, wow, that left-hand front guard there, heavily damaged as he goes around. Johnson. It was Zach Wentz-Smith.
The cliff.
Maybe a Mercedes if there is one lurking out there.
I think there was one last week and past two. That's the only Mercedes that's been registered. You know, there'd probably be more Fords out there if Sam would let us have them than Mercedes.
What does this Ford you speak of? I don't know. There's no such car. What are you talking about?
Well, I've burned my car changed now, so I can't change the Ford even he adds it.
You hear that, Sam? You can bring out the Ford now. I'll drive it for you. Very happy. Meanwhile, Danny Davidson's been doing a great job up front in the lead. Jack Widders and Jeff Connell. Connell having a really strong season so far. He is making that Audi work for him. I think he's just crept into the lead of the Pro Championship, just barely. But he is very much up there and getting back into form. So Connell is back, ladies and gentlemen, and watch out for that.
A bit of an apology there. We just noticed we had no sound on some of the outputs, so apologies everyone for that.
So I'm just curious, Stu, if you can, let's try and pick up the amateur class leader here. So this is a critical one for me because this track is completely and utterly about race management, particularly in the early stages of the race. You can actually high wear, very, very high tyre wear. You won't burn up tyres on a GT3 car at most circuits. You will here. So if Christopher Hen is not our lead GM driver, I believe
it is Christopher Hen. Oh, it is Christopher in the background in turn number one. The final turn. Sorry, just coming onto the straight. It is. Sorry, it's Richard Brookfield. Just had a big moment getting onto the start-finish straight. Just seeing if there was any contact there. And I believe there may have just been a bit of a Lamborghini going into the back of Brookfield there, and that spun him around there. The Lamborghini of James Ritwell just getting into the back there and just causing that car to go around. And big plume of tyre smoke. Luckily, everybody just managed to avoid that one.
The thing, I mean, it's a snake. One of the critical factors, actually, Stuart mentioned it earlier on, is particularly towards the tail end of the feature race, the night's going to start to creep over. You're not going to be able to see a lot of your braking markers. The corners around here are blind. For any of those drivers who are on single monitors or they're on narrow triples or they're on VR, their necks are going to be very sore, the guys that are on VR around COTA. Even at night, you can't see your entry points, even on those alternative format wide view sort of setups, because you just can't see out the side mirrors. It's so dark here, so critical factor to keep your eyes on for the second race.
Part of the fun in racing and endurance is not being able to see. It's I hate you.
I've done 2 24-hour races here, and I have hated every single minute of the night running in them.
There is something special about running in the pitch black, barely being able to see what you're looking at, and just hoping that corner is still there every lap you get there. It's a skill, and it's a sort of one of those things that only really psychopaths enjoy, I suppose. So.
The nature of this track too, Carl, actually, is just reminding me. Single monitor races, they're going to be looking for incidents generally out of their left and right, because you've got to look through the corner. Any of the guys that do go-karting, motocross, any sort of motorsport, your first thoughts are, and one of the first things you're taught, look through the corner. Look as far ahead as you can really pick up. A, it'll help you point the car in the right direction, help you try and point it around there. B, it gives you information about what you're coming up upon. For those guys that are on single monitors, they don't get that benefit around here. If there's an accident ahead of them, they're just going to file into that because they've got no idea where that car is.
It's actually one of the drawbacks of sort of racing in VR as well, because you've got quite a narrow field of view. One of the beauties is you can actually look around a little bit and get a bit of an eye in the mirrors, but it's a little bit... I tend to find racing in VR, you kind of get that sort of feeling of actually wearing a helmet though, so if you're used to racing with a helmet on, you could sort of get away with it a little bit easier, but when you've got the triples up, it does make life a little bit easier, because you've got such a wide field of view, you're almost spoilt for choice.
You're really using that peripheral vision. I've reacted to multiple things that are peripherals. I'm on new triples. Yeah, so I definitely understand that. So, Danny Davison continues to lead this one away and prove that the McLaren probably received too much of a buff in performance. This is actually a really nice track. The problem with the McLaren is you have to settle it down through the first sector. All week long, every single practice session, Danny Davison has been top of the timesheets, and I get the feeling he might actually have received the white flag. This might be the run to home for Danny Davison for the heat race.
Just jumping back a little bit, Michael Rosenblatt's got Jack Boyd all over the back of him at the moment. Boyd making a bit of a lunge down the inside as they go towards turn 12. Braking. BMW on BMW action right there, and Boyd makes the move.
Well done by Jack Boyd. Still going to be on though, and you'll have a look at the BMW battle. I believe these two would be the furthest forward BMWs. No, sorry, this up in 4th place is actually the furthest forward BMW, which I believe is Matty Cartaglione. So that's a solid return to form for Mr. Cartaglione. Was out of action last week due to a bit of a bug, was feeling very under the weather, had no energy, couldn't even get into the sim and race, was not comfortable doing so. So return to form for him, goes to P4, but it's Danny Davison from lights out to flag in the number 1 race. No, there'll be one more lap. Sorry, we called that one a little bit early. 20 seconds was the margin. So, one more lap for Danny Davis, and one more lap than I think he was probably expecting there.
It catches you by surprise when you get that one extra lap, and you're like, oh, I should have just eased off a little bit. That could not ease off much, though, because he only had a 3-second gap over Willis, so could not really lift off too much to make a sort of Le Mans-style finish, where you just cruise around that last lap so you don't have to do another one.
Please tell me, Carl, that the first driver in the AM class isn't in a Ferrari, because that thing is about to receive a very heavy whack with the old balance and performance stick.
Well, here's Christopher Hen.
Oh no!
Ferrari's going to get hit by the old stick, and yeah, that's going to be a painful one.
No, bad Ferrari. Sit, you're overperforming. None of that.
It's hard to train horses sometimes. They can be a little bit buck wild, but they are doing well at the moment.
Look, the biggest thing about the Ferrari is it's just that stable rear end grip. Well, one man who doesn't have any inkling of stable rear end grip, that's Danny Davison. The benefit of the McLaren is it's wiggly in the rear end. The downfalls of the McLaren is that it's wiggly in the rear end, but he's at least managed to tame the wiggles. And another man that's gone with him is Jack Wittes in that Ferrari. Didn't have to tame as many wiggles, but that means he's a little bit down on performance card. Doesn't turn quite as nicely. What a beautiful section. What a picturesque track. So good for fans. Formula One returning here for the first time in 2 years to this weekend. Danny Davison, it is Davison's delight in race number 1. A couple of corners now left to go. No Max Verstappen to look out for over on the runoff areas, and he makes his way down to the final corner. Lights out to flag. We called it 1 lap ago. It's now in the book as he'll cross the line here in a few moments. That's it for Danny Davison. What a performance, race number 1. Fastest qualifier. Lights out to flag. Jack Wittes home in second. Jeff Connell continues a strong showing, strong round in form. Matty Cartaglione in his return outing is going to grab P4. And I tell you what a return drive by Jack Boyd will cross the line in P8. He has not had a season to start off with, Jack Boyd. He has had dramas in just about every single race, and he's still driven through them for a top 10 performance.
Yeah, just jumping back to the AM class, Christopher Hen just managed to get the win over Luke Fitt and Mitchell Bolton. So very close between those three. Luke Fitt was right on the back of Christopher Hen at the end of that race. Almost got him with the drive out of the final corner. Just could not quite get enough foot on the floor, could not get the traction down quick enough, and just missed out by the narrowest of margins.
Tell you what, Matty Cartaglione just got across the line there as well. He was 2/10 off having Joshua Fitt go past him, so they were in a drag race to the finish line. So we've got a warm-up session here. We've got a small break in between the two sessions, 5 minutes. A really good time to remind you again of our partners here for AUSPROAM Sim Series between the Pro and the Pass 2. Simrigs.com, our main series partner. Everything you need for sim racing and a little bit more as well. But just got a fresh shipment in of steering wheels or of direct drive mini wheels as well. So jump on the website and get yourself some sim racing gear from the guys at Simrigs.com. Fantastic business and supporters of the series. Chicka Toyota, we've got the guys at Computer Technology Corporation, 93PC, HJ Plant Repairs and Index Designs as well. So a full wrap of sponsors on board for this season, and we thank them all very much again for their support. And I could not, of course, leave a sponsorship conversation without talking about Phoenix Smokers as well. So do support the people that support the stream and help us get our things or keep our things going for the next month.
I tell you what, Stu, you strike me as the kind of guy who'd be a smoked and cured meats fan.
Oh, absolutely.
Have you got one in the backyard?
Oh, absolutely, I do.
I'm gonna have to send in an order sometime. Might have to send you some choice cuts of meat. We ring up a local butcher nearby and get them sent over. Oh, I've been so long since I've had some good meat done properly.
You know what Stuart's another fan of? You're both definitely quiet there.
Well, if you're going to say the quiz, you'd be wrong. I am a big fan of getting you into a car on pass 2, but the quiz, not so much.
Look, it's easy, Carl. I've shown you. I've won it. Now it's your turn. You got to go out and win it next week.
Well, maybe if you answer a few questions correct, then I'll do it. That could be my caveat. That could be my way out. So, being that we're here in Texas, Texas, of course, it's got a little bit of history with motorsport. We're going to go to Formula One first of all. That's a bit of a slightly easier one, and obviously favouring Stuart here. Can you name a Formula One driver from Texas that competed in the Formula One Championship, not including the Indy 500?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I was about to say, what?
There's a lot of details in that question.
Can you name a Formula One driver from Texas that competed in Formula One, excluding the Indy 500? So we're not counting the Indy 500 as a Formula One event here, because that would just, that leaves it open to about 5 million Americans. So they've got to have competed in at least one Formula One event, born in Texas, and name away.
Fittipaldis are Latin America, aren't they?
Sorry?
The Fittipaldis are Latin America.
Yes.
Can we have a decade?
Well, I mean, it is a vast span. Okay, I'll give you a clue for one, I guess. They won Le Mans.
Carroll Shelby.
Yes, Stuart has got it.
Wow.
Congratulations, Stuart.
I only know that from watching Ford versus Ferrari.
Who is the only driver, born in Texas, of course, to have won the Indianapolis 500 and Le Mans in the same year?
I mean, it's easy, right? You just got to guess the last one again. Carroll Shelby, right?
No.
I mean,
Scott, what are you talking about? God.
I know that you're going to come up with something. I know that you're not going to feed me the same answer back. Now there's going to be another week where you're just going to feed me the same answer twice just to throw me now.
Of course. That's it. That's the kind of thing I would do because I'm a horrible person. We all know this.
Oh, I'm not saying horrible. I'm just saying trivia nut.
I'm going to say Mario Andretti.
Born in Texas.
Yes?
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's probably at least one Mario Andretti that's been born in Texas.
He's not from Texas, of course.
4-time Indy 500 winner.
Oh, well, that doesn't help me at all.
That would help a lot of people. Come on.
4-time Indy 100 winner, no idea. No idea for this one.
Okay.
I'm out.
You're going to be kicking yourself.
Well, probably.
AJ Foyt.
Oh, well, no, I'm not kicking myself at all about that. That's fine. I'll sleep. I'll sleep well.
I don't know. That's not good enough. I am absolutely just shocked by this.
Have we talked about balance? Let's get away from the quiz. Let's stop Stuart and I feeling bad about ourselves for a little bit. Have we talked about balance of performance yet this week, boys?
We have not.
Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, this season with the GT3s, we've opted to move back to all of the available GT3s, minus the very best of them. And effectively what's happened is there was the balance of performance last season was a weight penalty. Drivers were complaining, they weren't happy with how the cars were performing. They wanted to look for an alternative format. Sam Lehman, in all his gracious wisdom, devised some calculations last season to provide us with the exact weight penalties that would be applied to the car. good news, those calculations still work. This season, all cars start with 95% of their available horsepower and engine performance as it would be initially within iRacing. From there, if a car is underperforming, it will receive a small boost to its power, a la the McLaren. That's why you're seeing so many McLarens at the front this week. McLaren this week received a 2% increase to its available engine power. However, the overperforming cars, they receive a slight nerf to their available engine power, and I believe the Lamborghini is at negative 1.5, so I think it's 93.5% of its available power, which is why the Lamborghinis aren't up the front this week. So as we filter through the weeks, as things settle in, you'll see those numbers start to dive into where things are a lot more balanced, but it's week 1, week 2, so of course things are a little bit helter-skelter at this point in time.
Let's very quickly just run through the grid. Thank you, Scotty, for that explanation. So we're going to see that rather than the weight penalty, so that's good. Let's quickly run through the grid. We'll run through the top 10, which is a reverse top 10 to how they finished. So it's Hughes and Rosenblatt off the front row with Jack Boyd and John Merritt off row 2. Jack Boyd will be happy about that. With Turner and Fit off 3, Catalleone and Connell off 4. Then we've got Wittes and Davison off 5. So that top 10 reverse, down from top 15 last season if you are joining us again from then for the first time. And the rest of the field will start as they finish. We've got the dual screen happening here. So on the blimp mode, we're looking about halfway down the field there to see if we can cover anything, gents. I'll be keeping an eye on that to see if I can identify any issues at the start and see who may be involved with them. And I'll leave it up to you, good gentlemen, to call the start of the race from the front, where it will be Jared Hughes making his debut off pole position in the Pro-Am series.
Yeah, this is going to be phenomenal for Jared Hughes, and these guys are going to settle in. Rosenblatt off of the outside, I believe that is, and Jack Boyd. Well, he had a dismal performance in race 1, not up to Jack Boyd's standards. That's okay. Race number 2, he's going to start off the second row of the grid. This is a huge opportunity, and I think Boyd's going to win this one here. Carl?
Yeah, I've got to say, Boyd is looking very, very good. We know he's got some good speed in him. Watch out for John Merritt as well. He got unlucky in that first race.
I agree.
He had some really good speed. So I'm going to say John Merritt is going to be a really, really good one to watch out for.
All right, last corner. Now we're onto the start-finish straight. They hold them for a long time here. 100 kilometers an hour is the pacing speed. Field is under Jared Hughes' control. Once those lights go on, it'll be green, green, green. Here we go. Race number 2, a 40-minute feature race coming your way from Circuit of the Americas, Texas, and we're 3 wide. We're 4 wide. Over back to 3 wide on the run to turn 1, and it is going to be Hughes that maintains it. But look at Merritt around the outside. Cars scattering. Gray's out there in the middle of nowhere, but they make it through turn 1 at the front. This time around, car spot in the background.
Not in the background. We've got cars going round. We've got the 49 around at the moment, and just going back to see who that was.
Funslow and Bond went around.
Peter.
Jordan Peter, Dale Carpenter, and Adam Funslow.
A lot of people caught up in that once more. It's such a tricky corner when it catches you out because you can't see what's over the crest. You just have to hope for the best. It's a very blind section of the racetrack, and when things go wrong, they go wrong big. We've had another big off as well, just coming through
Maverick,
the curbs. We've got
Bolton.
Angus Campbell around as well.
Michael Rosenblatt off as well.
Mr. Bolton, Michael Rosenblatt, they're dropping like flies here in race number 2. Cars off once again at the hairpin before they do the run down the back stretch. There's a lot of runoff room there, and they're using all of it tonight in AUSPASS.
Sim Audi around as well.
Angus Campbell just really, really got caught out by Mitchell Bolton, who was reversing on the track, unfortunately.
On the outside here, Merritt was lining up Jared Hughes. I see this one unfolding in a couple laps' time. If he's not past him, Jack Boyd will be showing his nose very, very quickly on the back of this pack. Have a look in the picture. Bottom right of your screen. Nearly 3 wide, hanging into the corner at the tail end of the back straight. Tightest part of the track. 3 very slow corners, 4 very slow corners, all chained together in a section, and another set of cars around. Was that Merritt's teammate, I wonder, in the Pulse Injectors Online entry?
Zach Winter-Smith gone around. There are a few cars that are around at the moment, and carnage down there. Mitchell Bolton caught up in that one. So many cars caught out in that one, and a lot of cars are towed back to pit lane as well. That was a big accident. Quite a lot of cars are rocking the damage at the moment. A lot of them missing bonnets, a lot of them missing spoilers, a lot of them very crumpled at the moment, and that's going to be disastrous for them. As James Pettigrew gets turned around by Luke Turner. So big accident there as well.
Yeah, that was a replay down there. The track actually ended up blocked, and what that caused was obviously a checkup down through the remainder of the field with cars nose to tailing as they came around that blind corner, turn 12. So nowhere they could go, and just ended up checking up one another. You can see one of the there's an incident there again. As looks like one of the Matt Cow entries got turned into as well. There's a continuation of the replay in the small window, but plenty of damage. Lots of cars filing into pit lane to take their fast repair very early on in the race.
Now, change to this season. Last season, there would have been a tank cap that would have prevented these guys from getting, lads, into pit lane, and they would have had to come down, make another stop. This season, single stop race. The only change is that the fuel set in the car is a little bit more, so you don't have to stop quite as early. But that's the only thing that is forcing these guys to do a stop, is that starting fuel tank size.
Yeah.
Tell you what, Carl, I'm starting to wonder, just having a look at that, whether or not John Merritt might be fuel saving if he gets the tail end of the straight and he's not past Hughes there.
Yeah, he's sitting behind Hughes at the moment. Hughes made a little bit of a mistake going through turn 6, I believe, just caught a little bit too much curb and lost a little bit of speed getting towards the little bit of straight you get down from down towards turn 11. Lost a little bit of speed, and John Merritt just sat behind him, so he's just currently leaving it there. He's not really pushing too hard. Jack Boyd is a little bit on his own behind him with Matty Carlioni as well. Those guys have got a nice big gap over Luke Fitt at the moment. Luke Fitt doing a great job for the AM class, up in P5 overall. He's got Glenn Boyd just behind him with Christopher Henn there as well. So the top 3 in the AM class are currently sitting 5th, 6th and 7th overall. Scott Gray just sitting back in 8th and 9th. Dave Roberts and Alex Court in 10th. So we've got a big mixture of AM and pros there, and they're going to be sort of just trying to keep up their speeds and sort of racing a bit of each other, because they've got to keep up their speed so they don't get caught up by the other guys, because there is such a small gap between the AM and the pro this year. It's you just got to really race each other.
Yeah, and I was just having a look at that and thinking, is that the highest? And Glenn Boyd's actually just taken Christopher Henn for a ride, and indeed taken him and made the overtake as well. So Glenn Boyd leads the amateur class on outright pace. I think that's the first time that we've said that, and you get the feeling over the last few months that he has been doing the homework, and, well, proof is in the pudding.
Could it be a double Boyd podium tonight? We won't get our hopes up too soon, put the curse on them yet, but they are looking very good out there as it stands.
I guess you could say, if that happens, boy oh boy, or in this case, Boyd oh Boyd.
Oh wow, I knew you were going there with that. No good at all. You must be tired, Scotty.
Tired? I'm very much awake. I've actually had a really good night's sleep. That's why there's so much enthusiasm. That's right. Race is starting to settle down, and as you can take a look from that camera angle, you get a really good sense of how low in the sky that sun is. It is going to start playing a factor very shortly. Down the inside, we'll look at things. Scott Gray, I think that is in the Mad Cow. Porsche is going to try and get a move done here. Doesn't quite get it done on Luke Fitt. He'll have to settle once again, and that Audi is quite strong in this sector.
Just looking through the field at the moment, Dan Davison has made his pit stop as well as Jeff Connell, so both of those have come in. They're going to have slightly heavier fuel tanks, of course. One of the disadvantages of coming in early is it does mean you've got more fuel on board, and that does make it a little bit slow because the car is a little bit heavier. So sometimes doing the slightly longer run on the stint means you've got a lighter car. It can give you a couple of tenths of a second advantage. And when you've got a track that can be a little bit mean on tyres, you don't always want a big heavy car full of fuel.
Well, I mean, it does put a lot of load on those tyres when we're talking about tyre wear being a huge factor. Well, Jack Boyd saw an engine penalty applied to the BMWs. That doesn't seem to have hurt him because he has gone about his Boydish ways. Oh, I've got him for days.
I'm buoyed over by your puns tonight, Mr. Scott. It is just unbelievable.
Look, you let me win a race, this is what happens, so...
You won't let that happen in the future, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen.
Righto, well, we're now 7 minutes in, and I believe we're getting to, what, about 20 minutes in terms of fuel, so just past the halfway mark of this one, the whole field will have to file on through. And just trying to keep my eyes a little bit further afield. John Merritt's still less than half a second under that rear wing of Hughes. Hughes is punching out a really nice, consistent pace, so I think he's going to be content to sit there for a while. And Jack Boyd still not out of the picture, but not quite attached to them in terms of the tires. So that's your top three. Alex Court had a phenomenal run at the weekend in a V8 Supercars event, Bathurst 1000, as part of the Vast Motorsport event. And a return to the GT3s sees him in a return to form, running in around the 10th position. That's a phenomenal start for Alex Court, which is first season here in AUSPASS.
Speaking about phenomenal starts, we've got Derek Audie up 28 positions. So he is continuing to make pace in the Phoenix Smokers sponsored DPRSimrings.com entry. So just dropping a position there with Michael Rosenbach going past, but 27 spots gained. A fantastic run from him. Dustin Fletcher up 29 positions as well, resurrecting from some issues as a consequence of that first race. Christopher Henn just jumping into pit lane as well, boys.
It'd be interesting to see where Henn feeds out right here, because it's going to give us a little bit of an idea of where they're all sitting in the overall pace at the moment, and it's going to give us an idea of where they're going to come out in comparison to people like Danny Davidson and Jeff Connell. Watch out for this one. Currently, Danny Davidson is one of the fastest cars on track, not letting that heavy fuel tank slow him down at all, just at a 2:04.9. Which is a relatively quick lap. I've got a feeling the drivers up front are just doing a little bit of saving of the car, just not pushing it too hard, just letting it get through. But those drivers that have pitted are absolutely going hell for leather at the moment.
Yeah, well, Matty Cartaglione has taken the option to return to this BMW. He was a little bit worried that he may have qualified in the Lamborghini, and he would be forced to use a car change to rectify that one. Hasn't been the case. He managed to set a last-minute lap that did eclipse his previous time and start of the season in the BMW. Reminder that the way the car change system works is if you're the top 5 in Pass 2, if you're the top 5 in AM, top 5 in Pro, top 5 in the Teams Championship, you can't opt to take that car change. So the reason for that is those are the balancing metrics. The cars receive a buffer and nerf based upon where they finish in all 3 races. The strongest performing member, or 2 members I think it might be for each manufacturer, are factored into those calculations.
Christopher Henn's come out about 3-4 seconds behind Danny Davidson at the moment, so this is going to be something for people like Matty Cartaglione and Jack Boyd to keep an eye on. They're going to be in a little bit of a risk zone for Danny Davidson getting past them in the pit stop. So when they come in for the pit lane, if they can manage to eke it out a little bit and save a little bit of time in pit lane, just taking a much quicker stop, taking a little bit less fuel, they might be in a good position. But if they have to take a little bit more fuel, they're a little bit kind of stationary for a little bit longer, they are at risk of just falling into the grasp of Danny Davidson. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one goes. About a 40-second penalty when you come into pit lane, 40 to 41 seconds. Currently, Danny Davidson is 42 seconds off the lead. Jeff Connell 44 seconds off the lead. So it is getting to that point where John Merritt and Jared Hughes have got to also just try and up their pace a little bit, because they're going to be at risk in a short time if Danny Davidson keeps up this absolute blinding pace.
One other thing to note quickly as well is the first time in a long time we've seen Boyd and Boyd, of course, dominators of Season 1, I think it was, or Season 2 of AUSPROAM Sim Series. And it's been a little while for us to see them up the front together, but Jack Boyd moving up into P3, and his dad Glenn Boyd 19 spots up, if you don't mind, into P5. So good strong performance so far from Glenn, as Jared Hughes runs deep under brakes there, and that lets John Merritt off the leash and off into the lead. Could open him up here as well to Jack Boyd, if Boyd can get it done. Looks like he's got it back up to speed there, Hughes, but that is a big let off for John Merritt.
back end of that Ferrari is just getting really, really tail happy on him just as he's gone off a little bit of dirt on the car as well, and just having a bit of a struggle to get that back under control. So keep an eye out on that one. Got a little bit taily as he was going up towards turns 16. So yeah, just got to get that little bit of extra rubber off that car and get the dirt off the tyres, and then get back to racing.
Something else to keep in the back of your mind is where's Danny Davison in regards to the rest of the field. If he's starting to catch traffic, that may be the critical factor that makes these boys run as long as they possibly can. Another car starting to come through pit lane. Look at the darkness starting to become a real factor there. But Danny Davison, as he will head into...
Danny Davison's just got Sam Lehman in front of him at the moment, and other than that, it's a pretty clean-looking track. That McLaren is sitting in a really good spot at the moment.
Why aren't the lights on the McLaren?
I don't know. I was actually looking at that, pondering. I'm wondering if the McLaren lights are working or not. I'm looking through to see if any other McLarens have got their lights on, and it doesn't look like it. None of the McLaren seem to have any lights working, so they could actually fall into a bit of a problem if those lights don't turn on soon.
Wow.
Another twist to the story here,
aren't you glad you got out of the McLaren, Scotty?
Look, it's not a problem for the past two guys. We ran a lot earlier.
True.
We need as much brightness and much daylight to see all the apex as possible, and then look, it's about missing them by as little as possible. We all miss them, every single one of them. Don't expect a pass-through driver to find an apex.
Dare I say, however, it could pose an issue for the man now in the lead of the race. John Merritt is the only McLaren in the top 10. So let's see. This is a developing story in the race. And
I think you just have to drive the McLaren in reverse because the flames at the end will
he's not going to be able to. But that's a false economy car, because if he's going forwards in reverse, he'll blow the flame out. So that won't help him either.
That's true. Yeah, it's it makes it tricky. I mean, when you're running on candle power, it's you've got to think about these things.
The challenges McLaren face. Maybe just weren't in the budget this year.
Maybe the flames out the back are just bright enough that they don't need to turn the headlights on. They're saving power.
Yeah, absolutely.
McLaren's bright orange is so you don't need any lights on them. They just make their own light.
I tell you what, is that livery of John Merritt's just effectively like the high vis vest?
Oh, a little bit. I actually like the Pulse Shady cars.
Is he the Bogan of the field, John Merritt Bogan?
Oh, I wouldn't be going there.
Okay.
Just talking about it though, it may be, and actually we'll just bring it up here now. What's the track time locally? It's 13 minutes to 7 there. Where depending on the acceleration, I think it's only 1 time, so I think it is standard time. So the race is going to finish about 10 past 7 local time. So it's going to be real close, is all I'm going to say. And if they don't have lights, which it surprises me because it is an enduro, maybe they're not flicked to auto turn on. That these guys will be in trouble.
That's the only thing I can think of, because I'm pretty sure the McLaren competes in the endurance round.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
It does.
It definitely does.
It definitely does have lights. It's just maybe they need to get the old lump hammer out to make them work.
I'm starting to wonder, because remember when the Lamborghini first come out, there's an endurance light bar that you can attach to the front end of it. And, well, that thing just, you can see for country. It's like attaching a big strobe light to the front end that you can just see for miles. It's fantastic. I'm wondering whether or not it's setting and whether or not it's tweakable in the setup. And because AUSPASS does, yes, it does run on fixed setups. But the thing about the setups are the iRacing sprint setups. Therefore, they're not an endurance setup, whether that option's toggled off. And, yeah.
Could be onto something there, Scotty, I think. Anyway, time will tell. We're just looking through the field. Danny Davison, who is on screen now, is the first car that has been through pit lane. So he is effectively in the race. He's got 43 seconds between himself and John Merritt. And at the moment, that gap, even though the time obviously in pit lane will reduce as time ticks over, you'd have to say that gap is close between Merritt and coming out behind Danny Davison. Can't
make a mistake right now. John Merritt has to actually be pretty much perfect It's going to be really close between Boyd and Danny Davidson. Jared Hughes is going to be pretty close as well, so watch out for them. And Jeff Connell, he's not sitting too far off that as well. He's only 3 seconds behind Davidson as well, so he's going to wake up a lot of positions in this race as well.
How's that? Go ahead, Stu. Sorry, Stu.
You're right. No, I'll just say one more thing. I was just going to say, how's that track map looking? It's just full.
Yep. There's small sections of black, but by and large, there is a car everywhere you see. If you're a fan of GT3 racing, if you're a fan of racing and you're at the circuit, there'd be constant action whizzing on past you so much, you might lose a little bit of focus on where everyone is, and you might start leaning into effects mics and making car sounds.
Sure.
Little meow, 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 meow. Favorite bit of things that anyone's done at a race circuit to add to coverage that isn't a part of the official team. Well, Carl, you've normally got something interesting. You're normally off looking at other cars. I get the feeling you've been silent for a few moments. You've found something interesting. You're trying to find what you want to say about it.
Well, actually, I'm just looking at patch notes and just looking at information on the McLaren to make sure that the lights are working. That's why I've been a little bit quiet, is because I'm going through vast amounts of documents at the moment. So my main focus, as I said, was on Danny Davidson, because I'm just interested to see how many more positions that he can gain in this race. Again, setting some really good pace times, and gotta wonder, John Merritt just starting to up the pace now, and that explains it, because he's coming into pit lane. So,
Jared Hughes, Jack Boyd joining him as well, so we'll...
And the lights are on the McLaren. There we go.
So... Took a while. So what we're going to do...
The light sensors are a lot more sensitive on the McLaren.
Well, the lights are flashing because it's in pit lane. Whether they're on or not is a different question. Danny Davison is on track now, so we're on board with him on the main screen. No, Carl's right, the lights have come on, and we're looking at where he comes through relative to our race leader, John Merritt. So he's just making his way through 19 and 20 now. And you'd have to say John Merritt will be on his way out now. And so he will get out into the lead of this race. He's on his way up the hill. You can see him at the top of your picture there. So he's got to get up to pace. But of course, the exit here pretty friendly because of the left-hander being a slow exit, a slow corner for the attacking car. And he's got out with Jack Boyd and Jared Hughes in front of Danny Davison. So Danny Davison's got some work to do to make his way back up to the front of the field.
And that is a lapped car that you saw running in front of Danny Davison. So you'll have that lap traffic to navigate around as well. Field has now been normalised. Pit stop strategies are in the books.
Not so much. We've still got 3 cars that haven't pitted yet in Matty Carliani, Scott Gray and Sam Lehman. All of them sticking it out one more lap here tonight. So they're trying to roll the dice a little bit, trying to go a little bit longer. We've seen Matty Carliani has a little bit of a boot full of fuel sometimes in his car, just a quick top up to make it go that little extra mile, and I think he might be doing that again tonight.
Hey Carl, can you answer a question for me? Do you think anyone so far has served a pit lane drive-through penalty for exceeding incident point limits?
Possibly Hayden Jackson.
Yeah, he was complaining about them quite aggressively. He's not a fan of the track limits here.
So yeah, just looking, I'll go and actually check on that one properly. Give me a moment. I will. I can actually find. That's the trouble with so many drivers in the field, is you're looking through the list of driver names and you just go, whereabouts is that person? So just going back to have a little bit of a look at this one for Hayden Jackson, so I will be in a couple of moments.
Righto, well, Carliani will be in the box right about now. Scott Gray has filed his way on through, so John Merritt will come around the last couple of corners. Car around in the picture, bottom right. I wonder who that is.
It is Sam Lehman, leader of amateur at the moment. And Sam going around, he's going to duck into pit lane anyway this lap, but that has cost him as Christopher Henn resumes the lead of the amateur category.
Sam's in amateurs? I thought he made it in pros this season.
Sam is a pro.
Oh, my apologies. That has come up wrong on my timing screen. So there you go.
yeah, Sam was as surprised by that as you were as well. Don't worry.
Right. No, well, apologies there. So we were following Sam needlessly. Well, not needlessly, giving you some exposure.
Right, just jumping up to Matty Carblione. He has just come out right in front of Danny Davidson. So Carblione managed to work that one perfectly. A little bit quicker in pit lane, took a little bit less fuel, and that's helped him just get a little bit of extra spotting there. So Carblione just ahead of Danny Davidson in P4 at the moment, but he's got that McLaren all over the back of that big BMW. So watch this battle unfold.
Of course, this is all going about just a tick under 6 seconds in the rearview mirror for Jared Hughes as well, so you have to keep half an eye over on him. Look at the view on the right side of things. Look how dark it is out there. It's a good thing those lights have come on for the McLaren, because the lights have come on for Matty Carblioni's race, and the only way that Danny Davidson's going to shine a bit of light down there, I think, is with the headlights. You are going to find it hard-pressed to find a way around that BMW as Davidson looks to the inside, coming to the braking zone. It was just a show of the nose, a fake out, if you will. Get yourself in the eyes of Matty Carblioni and make him think that McLaren is coming.
Yeah, just doing the fake out there. Of course, if you can fill the driver in front of you's mirrors full of your car, can sometimes distract them a little bit. Not an easy thing to do to Carblioni. I mean, he is a bit of a seasoned hand, and probably not going to catch him out with too many tricks like that, but it does take your focus off the road for a split second, and sometimes that is all it takes. So doing a good job there. And also, of course, when you do start looking to try and make those moves or position your car to make it look like it's making a move, you sometimes have the driver in front of you getting offline slightly, just getting to a slightly defensive position, and it can compromise them for the next corner. So sometimes that's what they're looking to do, is just trying to compromise them for a corner. Maybe not the corner they're coming up to, but a couple of corners later.
Right, well, that's one thing that Matty Carblioni will have to deal with. And looking at your right-hand side image, Glenn Boyd may have dropped a fair few spots, but that looks to be amateur class leader this time by. What a drive it has been for Glenn Boyd. We'll keep track of him and see how he's tracking. But it's been a journey for him, Carl. He's still reasonably new to the simulator game, but he's got a great big bright mind on him, and he's got all the benefits of a younger, quicker son. I mean, having that coach, if you will, is it's quite good for your pace, isn't it?
Dave Roberts is my leader in
yes,
the
he is.
Okay, my apologies.
Dave Roberts in the Porsche, the fantastic German-inspired, beautiful Stuttgart Porsche there with the beautiful imperialist German eagle on the front, but lovely lining by the worm pegs crew there. That is currently in the lead of the AM class, just over Maverick Benson, who will be chasing down in the Lamborghini. Alex caught in the Ferrari After Dark Racing. You know, they're a bit of a fan favourite on the channel. And then Glenn Boyd's just sitting behind with Daniel Webster on his tail, and Lachlan Capel just trying to work his way up through the field. So 34th in this race. Lachlan Capel up to P17 now.
Yeah, not an easy start for Capel. He had trouble last week in qualifying, wasn't quite able to set the laps that he might have wanted to do, and he did that again. And I was listening to him during qualifying whilst the past two race was going on, and he said a fair few off tracks and things hampered his qualifying efforts here tonight. So qualifying an issue for the youngster. He'll find his form as the season progresses and find learning a few different things, but up at the head of the field, this battle, I think this is going to rage right to the checkered flag. 15 minutes we've still got left to run. It feels like this one's been running for 35.
Yeah, we've had a really good race there. Capel as well got caught out in that first corner incident in the first race as well, and that dropped him down a few positions, I believe. So he had to work his way back through the pack from that one. So it's been a recovery night for him, but doing a good job so far. Meanwhile, Scott Gray is a bit of a cork in the bottle at the moment. An absolute sea of cars behind him in the Mad Cow Porsche as Joshua Fitt tries to make a move up the inside of turn number one. Can't quite make it work this time. What that does do though for Joshua Fitt is it leaves him a little bit compromised now, as Paul Mansell's going to be on the back of him. Brendan Vinglet sitting behind him, Dave Roberts there, and it's basically all the AM class just sitting behind those guys waiting for their chance to try and make a bit of a pounce. But Scott Gray doing a good job up there, just not quite able. AM leader is Christopher Henn, Christopher Henn up in P7 overall. just noticed, so Christopher Henry's leading the AM class, P7 overall, sitting in a really strong position.
We're on fire tonight, boys. The AM class leader's changed about 5 times, not because it's been overtaking, but because we've just gone, oh, there's another AM. Look at how high that guy's running.
Well, we usually don't glance that high up the order because, you know, we usually expect the AMs to be sitting up towards about P10 area for the high AMs, but running up there at P7, Christopher Hen having an absolute fantastic night in the Ferrari.
Yeah, can he not? Can we just
got to move? As Matty Carlioni is defending against Danny Davidson. Danny Davidson was right on the outside of Carlioni there. They are absolutely neck and neck at the moment, battling it out side by side. And as they battle, it's helping out a certain black Audi that just lurks in the background. If he switched his lights off, he could go into stealth mode and just sneak his way through, I'm sure. But Jeff Connell just sitting there, letting these guys fight, and is just thinking about picking up the pieces.
Oh, yeah, Jeff Connell is just the master at picking up the pieces, master at finding things that pretty much everyone has thought not possible. And there's the McLaren. It's right there in the rear view. It's coming. Cardo, what have you got for him? Is that BMW any wider, or is that about all she wrote? And you got to think that this McLaren has got 97% of the power that's available to it in iRacing. Down the inside from Danny Davison. Not quite there. I think Cardo's going to be able to hang this one around the outside. This will switch back to the inside of the next corner. If he can just maintain the line, he'll have priority through the first part of the S's. It's still side by side into the S's. Cardo holds on one more time. He grabs the curb.
Big curb to get there. That's given Jeff Connell the opportunity to get right up into this battle. Connell just managing to save that one. Danny Davidson, reaction like a cat to get on those brakes, saving that car from a massive crash. What a fantastic job of saving those 3 cars there. That could have been a disaster.
And the respect shown. They wanted to go through there side by side. They wanted to give each other as much room as possible. None of that was about trying to hamper anyone. Davison will defend. He'll cut the line off a little bit. He's got the strongest car of these 3 in the straight line in terms of performance, in terms of that balance of power. Now he'll look for the toe. He's going to look to follow Cardo down. Cardo's looking to break the toe. He's worried here, I think. I'm starting to see sweat just beating off of Carleone's head.
Yeah, Cardo is in probably the most unfavourable position with these big long straights here at Texas. It can really hamper you if you're the lead car, and especially if you're the size of a BMW. That's going to punch a hole in the air the size of a Zeppelin. So that's going to really help out the 2 behind him at the moment. Look at Davidson all over the back of him. Connell was also trying to move Davidson back to the side of Carleone. Can't quite make it work this time round, but he is putting all the pressure he can at the moment on that BMW. They are so close to each other. There's just a cigarette paper between those 2 cars.
And you've got to start feeling the tyres on that BMW. That's normally the car that struggles to look after its front tyres. Well, we have been racing for 30 minutes. We've been racing at COTA. It destroys tyres. Cardo is running out of grip. That much is for certain. And Danny Davison is running out of patience. Jeff Connell is going to run out of patience even quicker behind him because he's going to have a shot. Cardo will defend this time by. Davison gets to his outside. Davison looking to go the long way. Connell wants a piece of the action. Settle it down, lads. You've got to get into the S's once more.
Connell absolutely looking to take advantage of that. Danny Davidson can't really take the risk of trying to take a wide entry into that corner to use that little bit of runoff to the S's because Connell is there to make him pay for it. So he was just trying to square off that corner a little bit. He makes a little bit of a mistake, and that's going to be Connell getting through. They make it side by side. No contact between the cars. The Audi and McLaren just squeezing through there. It's still the same positions somehow. They are keeping themselves neck and neck at the moment. Davison and Connell now in the battle. It's given Carleone a little bit of breathing space, but they'll be back on his tail in no time.
And now it's about setting yourself up for the run down the straight. Cardo gets to take the best entry, the best exit line, looking to shake things out, make sure that he's got that front end. I'm wondering whether or not that says that we've got a pace car out in the circuit. That's what that says to me, the fact that both of those guys were wiggling, shaking those front tyres about, making sure they're settled. Now they'll come down here on the run into the hairpin. No one side by side. Connell and Davison a little bit worried about the handling of their cars. They'll clean their tyres up, they scrub, they settle it down once again. I think there's going to be another dive bomb coming into turn 1. The question this time will be, is it Connell on Davison, or is it going to be the same one we've seen before? Davison on Carlione.
I've got a feeling they're struggling with the tyres, and we might see them. They're definitely struggling. There's something off with them, because it looked like they were trying to get heat into the tyres or something. Because you don't weave like that down the front unless you're trying to get some heat into the tyres.
Could it be?
Something gone wrong, and
could it be marbled?
Going to pit lane.
That is extremely odd from Danny Davison. I'm wondering if that may not necessarily be a change of tyres, which says to me there might be meatballs being handed out for failed tyres.
Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on this one.
Incident point limit. No, that'll be an incident point limit. No, he's stopping.
Yeah, he's stopping. He's actually coming in for a proper pit stop, and he's out. Is he? He's back in.
Resetting hardware. It'll be reset of hardware,
yeah,
for sure.
Something's gone wrong. Something has gone wrong there. Hardware issues. That is absolutely devastating. Something did happen to Alex Court as well while we were having all of that battle going on. I'm just going back to see exactly what that was. Absolute disaster for Danny Davison. That is a real big shame. Meanwhile, Alex Court has had a moment with one of the Audis, and it was Mitchell Bolton, I believe, and just a little bit of contact on Alex Court, and that's turned him around, unfortunately. So Alex Court in the After Dark car gets the back end turned around, and that's lost him a good handful of positions.
Well, you'd say After Dark should be strongest about this time of night. Apparently not. Apparently After Dark is when they're a little bit unlucky. Side by side in the background is Boyd and Hughes. They're going head to head, and Jack Boyd is going to come out on top.
Is that BMW starting to drop off a little bit of pace? You've got to wonder, are they starting to struggle with the tyres? Because that Ferrari is just coming alive right now. We've got 6 minutes remaining. That's going to be about 3 laps or so of this race, depending on when John Merritt crosses the line. Jared Boyd is really struggling at the moment with Jared Hughes all over the back of him.
Now, Cardo, without that McLaren sitting in his rearview mirror, he's had to breathe a little bit, and all of a sudden, I'm just keeping my eyes on those timing screens. Jeff Connell fell off fractionally. Now Connell is surging back at him, so Connell will have an assault at Matty Carlione. It's a matter of when, not if, because if is for sure going to happen for Jeff Connell, and whether or not Carlione is ready for that one, we'll find out in a few laps' time. There is only a few laps to go, though, and, well, Jack Boyd up into second place. This is a great recovery drive.
I think we're going to see Connell actually trying to make a move into the first corner right here. He's looking up the inside of Matty Carlione, and he's trying to just outturn that BMW. He's just trying to push a little bit more pressure on that Beamer and make it use up its tyres a little bit more. So
keep your eyes on the main screen. There'll be a slowdown here for Jared Hughes. Now, there will be a massive gap back to Matty Carlione, but Hughes was not able to make the first of the S's. So that's a big off track there for him. Incident point limits will starting to become into question for a lot of these drivers. Second pit stop here for Jeffrey Wang. That's another odd one.
Yeah, the battle between Connell and Carlione is absolutely on. Carlione just gets a little bit loose coming down towards turn 11. Jeff Connell is side by side, Connell on the outside. Carlione on the inside, there's a little bit of door-on-door contact, I should say. Connell, though, is going to get a great run onto the straight here, and he should just have a little bit of an advantage on that Beamer now. Connell is going to be side by side. Connell's managed to get the inside line, most importantly, as they go down towards turn 12. This is going to be useful for Connell in the Audi. Who can be the latest on the brakes? It is Jeff Connell. He gets his way through Matty Carlione.
And looking for the crisscross, Carlione won't get the power down. That Audi great at turning in. Down the inside from Carlione. That's a shallow entry there. Tries to get back to the gas. He'll go side by side. The next braking zone, he's on the outside. It's a long run. A long way around here. He forces Connell to go narrow. Connell gets the turn out of that Audi. That's where it's strong. The shallow lines. The car turns in well, and he makes big use. And all of a sudden, Verstappen's lines. I've seen those somewhere before, Carlione, and they he got a penalty. I wouldn't be trying those if I was you.
Fantastic action up the front. Meanwhile, we've still got a great battle going on a little bit further down for P7. It is Scotty Gray at the moment, the cork in the bottle. You've got to say, he has got a heap of cars behind him, and it's giving Christopher Hen a chance just to get a little bit of breathing room as the AM class leader in P number 6. So working out very well for Christopher Hen at the moment. Scotty Gray doing a great job in that Porsche. Just keep Joshua Fitt, Brendan Linge, Paul Mansell, Maverick Benson, Lachlan Capel, Daniel Webster behind him at the moment. So a whole heap of cars.
And look at the brake disc glow in the twilight here in Texas. It is a hell of a twilight here in Texas. There's battles up and down the field. This is what AUSPASS brings to the plate. Look at that snake. Was that 6-7 cars? I think Christopher Hen's starting to fade a little bit back to these guys. That Porsche with the weight over the rear end may have looked after its tyres a fair bit better. And again, this isn't a battle within class, so Christopher Hen may not necessarily be too upset to let this one go. It's the guys that are at the tail end of this pack. Maverick Benson, that's the one he's worried about.
Quite a few drivers needing to actually make a second stop, just a quick top up of fuel, maybe just using a little bit more fuel than they think. Richard Brookfield, one of those drivers. Quite a few drivers coming through for drive-throughs as well. Luke Turner, Hugh McLaughlin coming through for a drive-through penalty. Alex Court, unfortunately, he got caught out a little bit earlier. He got caught, somebody going into the back of him, and that caused him to have a drive-through penalty. So a few drivers are hitting those instant limits now, but up front, John Merritt is driving a fantastic race and keeping a really good pace over Jack Boyd at the moment, although Boyd is coming back at him. Boyd is setting some faster times and is really pushing at the moment, using all the track limits he can, using all of those instant points that he has not yet used to try and gain on John Merritt and try and get up to that McLaren and see if he can actually push for a fight for the win.
Well, cast your mind back a few seasons ago with an AUSPASS, and a quote that still haunts me to this day from Jack Boyd running around at Spa. You've got incident point limits. Once you get your first, well, you're not getting a points bonus. After that, you're using them to go faster. They can be worth anything up to 2 seconds a lap if you use them properly. Knowing when to exceed track limits is a big part in V8 Supercars. It's a big part in racing right around the world. Formula One, which will be at COTA this weekend, is certainly a big factor. But the white flag has been waved. 1 second is the margin. Maybe John Merritt's fading. Maybe he's playing race management. He's only going to have half a lap left to run as he runs down towards the pinnacle of the lap, the furthest point from the start-finish line. And there's half a lap left to run as he'll turn in and run down the back straight for the final time tonight.
Yeah, he's getting caught a little bit, but managed to pull a little bit of a gap over Boyd now, so looking good still for Merritt. Somehow my pick did not absolutely ruin his race, so I'm glad for that. So that's some good news there for Merritt. But just really well driven tonight, very smart. Just really clean race out there for Merritt.
Well, looked after the car, got off to a sensational start. Pit stops didn't worry him any, and John Merritt is only a couple corners from home. The margin now 1.3, 1.4 seconds. You'd have to say that's more than enough. It's only going to be an incident point limit that denies him from here. He did run wide. There would have been a 1x there for sure for John Merritt. So a couple corners left to go here. There are slowdowns you can pick up in this section of the circuit. 2 corners left to run now. It is the run home. Penultimate corner done. Finally, down here to the last corner on the lap. It has been a phenomenal race from start to finish from Echuca Toyota Racing's John Merritt. He will take that checkered flag. Jack Boyd brings it home in P2. Not a great start to the night in the initial race, but he finishes it off well. And his first race of the season, first round of the season here for Jared Hughes. What a start for him. That's a phenomenal finish for Jared Hughes there in the Ferrari, and I feel the weight of the Nerf stick coming. And look at the pack of cars tailed up in there behind Christopher Hen. What a phenomenal finish to come home at the tail end of town for the amateur field. And what a great race here in Texas. Twilight in Texas always delivers.
Christopher Henn taking out the amateur class victory there. P6 overall, fantastic job from him. Scotty Gray just started catching him a little bit towards the end, but the rest of the cars could not make a move. Maverick Benson finishes in P2 for the AMs, with Glenn Boyd in P3.
Well, when we get to the tail end of this round and we start to have a look at the points, there'll be a fair few drivers that'll be like, Twilight in Texas wasn't my night. Maybe it was Chaos at COTA instead. Hugh McLaughlin might be among those, but he'll still take a finish as it comes to him any way he possibly can for Pace Syndicate Racing Stuttgart, and they're very pretty Porsches. Look at that as it comes past the shot. Well, a couple cars still to finish off their laps. James Mishock among them, running all the way down in 35th. Still a few cars just across the line here. So I believe we've got, 5 cars left. Final corner for him. Not the best of nights, but not the worst of nights. Will still bring himself home at COTA with a swag full of points. And, well, that's it. Everything's bigger in Texas. And when the drama happens in a big way, as it did at the start of all 3 races tonight, Carl.
Yeah, very much so. And look, it's always that lottery. That first corner catches a lot of people out, unfortunately. It is a bit of a notorious first corner, and once again it proves to be such, catching a lot of fast cars out, unfortunately, leaving us with a few holes in the field, which was a big shame, because we could have seen a few fast drivers out there. But you know, that's what part of racing is. Sometimes the luck does not always go your way.
Well, we will bid Texas farewell next week. I was just having a look at the schedule. I believe we're off to Monza next week. And, well, if there's been first corner issues at Sebring and at COTA, those are going to get magnified because it's quite narrow there. And I feel like the escape road might be the best of pars next week. John Merritt's going to round out the night a winner on that feature race. Great run right there from him. Jeff Connell consistently finishing right up there and proving that you don't need to win every race of the year to be on top of the championship. I have a feeling that he might walk away from this one with an even firmer grasp on that championship lead.
Yeah, good, strong performance again. And, you know, it's just consistency. This is one of the things. It's going to be consistency this season. We saw it last season, of course, consistently winning. But I think consistently keeping the car up in the top 5 in those positions are going to be key for the championship in Pass 5.
Driving the night time, gentlemen. I know there's a particular driver from Pass 2 that'll probably get my vote, but I'll let you guys say so first.
Okay, well, I'll jump in first. I think for mine, Scotty Gray did a really good job holding on to P7. As an honourable mention, Jack Boyd recovery drive, but as well. But it's got to be John Merritt for mine. A really, really strong race, and I was just having a look as well through his lap consistency, which was a big thing for mine. Very, very seldom out of the 205s for the whole race, and obviously that makes a huge contribution for the result that he achieved.
Just quickly, I'm just glancing back. Matty Cardioni, I think, may have hit his instant limit and got a little bit of a penalty because he's dropped down to P19. So that's moved everybody up a little bit, because my driver of the night, Christopher Henn, finishing in P5 in the AM class, P5 overall and winner of the AM class. Christopher Henn has got my vote for driver of the night, because that was a fantastic job from him. 21st in the feature race, starting off, managed to get to P13, and then from 13 to 5th. That's a mega drive. And I've got a feeling that Matty Cardioni might have got a little bit of a slap on the wrist for instant points.
Yep, and I'm going to follow you through on that one. I think Christopher Henn, far and away, overperforming. I think maybe may have ended up in the wrong class, because that is a drive worthy of somebody that would be running way up there in terms of the standings at the top end of town within the pro class. And he's been overperforming, I think, the last couple of weeks. Whether or not we see the Connell rule applied to Christopher Henn, Jeff Connell, of course, being the driver that finished ahead of him here this evening. Well, I think we're just waiting on drivers to go ahead and jump into the green room, flick our eyes through. Actually, Glenn Boyd, tell you what, that's a phenomenal drive from him. P2 in AM class as well.
And I also just want to quickly shout out Dustin Fletcher as well. Got caught out with that incident earlier on. Really good qualifying, P12. for the first race, dropped down to 47th position. So started 47th, ended up finishing 14th in that feature race, gaining 33 spots. That is a mega drive.
Just another apology. It's a night for apologies for me over here in the camera room. The Facebook stream dropped out halfway through there, and unfortunately did not reboot itself. So if you did miss out on the race watching on Facebook, of course you won't know that we're telling you this because you're not watching now. But there will be race highlights posted on Facebook through the week.
Righto, well, 2 members of the podium from the pro class here tonight have made it into the green room and thus on their way into the commentary box. Jared Hughes, John Merritt, welcome lads. What a race from Texas. COTA, she's a busy one. She's tough on those tyres. She's tough on the drivers, Jared.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a tough track to get used to at the start, like make sure we get fast for qualifying, but then the tyre deg throughout the race was very bad, so it was really important that we had to manage the tyres throughout the whole race, and then you had a little bit of tyre to use at the end of the race.
I mean, you were trying to assault the rear bumper of Jack Boyd, and then you just went to go in through the S's on one of the tail end laps there, and just completely missed it, and that put the pin in that fight, and that was all she wrote as things stood. But up until that point, you can't really complain running P3 in the first night so far this season. Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I only started practicing like this afternoon because I completely forgot that we had it on tonight. So, no, to run P2 was pretty good. A bit angry at myself for hitting that curb through the S's, but that's all right. We'll try and sort it out and fix it for the next one. What's it like turning laps in a tight field like this at COTA? Because normally when you come to COTA, it's one of those tracks where the corners are so blind, you're having to look so far ahead. What sort of setup? Describe to us the setup that you're on. Are you on VR? Are you on triple monitors? Are you on the single monitor? How are you navigating the corners with that level of confidence and consistency that you need to have to run at the front end here? Yeah, and I've got a 3-monitor setup, which really helps. So big 32-inch monitors, so I'm able to see right around the until the next corner. So it definitely helps, especially with this massive field and the uphill and downhill corners and all that. So yeah, having the proper setup definitely helps with avoiding crashes or just racing in general. All right, mate. Well, congratulations on the P3. I mean, you know, what a drive. It says privateer here on the standings. Was there any sponsors, anything that you would like to say in terms of thank yous to the guys that support you? Yep, I'd like to thank AC Delco, Millwall Motorplex, JLX, Kayla's Cookery, and then just the guys that have put on this awesome series. It's pretty good fun to race in, so yeah, can't wait for the next round. I believe Carl's got John Merritt on standby as well.
Yeah, well, I should hope so. John Merritt, congratulations on that victory tonight. I actually was picking my favourites, and I said you were looking really racy tonight, and you proved right in the end. A fantastic job for you getting through and taking the overall victory.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. It might be the secret, as Jared said. I only got on for a couple of laps late today, so no, practice seems the order of the week and the night. So no, it was good. Tricky track. I think I'd concur with the tyre deg. Makes it interesting through the race. I probably used a little bit too much early, and then was just nursing the tyres, just watching whether we got an extra lap in terms of the fuel as well. So. But no, it was a good race.
Yeah, that's one of the big things, of course, is race management in the longer races like this, of course. We did see Jack Boyd started to close the gap on you a little bit towards the end there. Did you have that one all sorted for him, or were you looking up in the mirror going, oh, I hope he doesn't get a bit faster in this one?
We probably had speed at different spots. I think I probably had enough to just cover him or manage that gap. I was helped by a little bit of lap traffic. By no fault of anyone at the end there, but yeah, he was a little bit better through the S's, just the nature of the cars. But yeah, as I said, I think I probably used a little bit too much front tyre early behind Jared. A couple of benefits, a little bit of fuel save, but probably chewed the front tyres a little bit. But we were pretty even. I was certainly watching the mirrors and certainly had a sweat on going to the end. So.
One of the big talking points, if you go back and watch the race, will be the McLaren lights, of course, the light gate, we all call it. But they seem to not turn on for a long time until you basically came into pit lane. We were wondering wondering if they were going to ever switch on, but did that affect you at all in the earlier stages of the race, just not having that little bit of extra light shining in front of you?
Yeah, it was pretty dim, but no, it was okay. I didn't sort of miss too many. I don't think I missed too many marks, so certainly happy with the second race.
Congratulations on that win, well deserved. Before I let you go, the usual thing: shout out and love to sponsors and people out there.
Just thanks to Aceto from Pulse for a good engine for the night, and Echuca Toyota, and obviously FGM for the broadcast, all the series sponsors, in particular as well, obviously Sam Cardo and the AUSPASS crew for putting it on.
Thank you so much, John. It's a pleasure having you here in the booth. Hopefully we'll get to see you back here soon.
Thanks, Carl. Cheers.
Righto, finally moving on to what is looking like it's probably going to be our final interview of the night. Christopher Henn, amateur class Victor here from COTA. Well, COTA, she's tough, she's tumbly, and she's difficult, tricky, you name it. COTA's got it all. Christopher?
It sure does. Definitely, I think one of the hardest tracks we'll probably visit in this whole season. When I started a bit of practice on the weekend, I wasn't a fan at all. It was a bit of a struggle, but unlike John in particular, it seems a practice makes perfect for me. I certainly needed the laps.
Mate, I've got bad news. Unfortunately, you won the amateur class. I won the AUSPASS 2, and there was another Ferrari on the podium in pro splits. So I think the balance of performance big whack stick is going to hit that engine pretty hard this week. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that doesn't sound ideal, does it? But it is what it is, and I guess we just got to try and manage that for the next race or two possibly, and make the most of it. Just make use of some drafting, hopefully, to try and balance it out. But I reckon it's going to be a challenge because I didn't think it was that easy to pass here, and even in the long straights there wasn't a huge draft, so it could be a struggle. But we'll see how we go.
I mean, it's part and parcel of AUSPASS, though, is the balance of performance. And I mean, this week it's shifted over from being the ballast weight that's added around the car. This time it's engine. The difference, I mean, the Ferrari this week was running exactly the same performance spec that it ran last week. You're expecting that to change, but much different to last season in terms of the weight. So the cars are going to continue their regular handling. Do you think it's a good change moving to engine balancing, or would you prefer to still have the weight system?
No, I think the engine balancing is good actually, because depending on where the ballast goes in the car, sometimes it even though the car's heavier, it actually may help the car turn a little bit or make it handle a bit better. So I think going to an engine-driven BOP, that's going to actually be, I guess, more of a penalty and actually even the field out more. So definitely a good move by the guys at AUSPASS to go down that road. I think it'll work really well this season.
Well, look, I mean, difficult here. Lights are starting to, you can see it. The circuit is just pitch black here at the end of proceedings here tonight. Last week, you had the cat's eyes to really help you. It's so blind around here towards the tail end of that race. And the lights, they just don't help you look through the corners, do they?
No, they don't, and particularly with the sun. I think the sun was the worst part. So going down at the end of the back straight there was particularly difficult, even just picking brake markers, picking your turn-in points. And it's tough here anyway, particularly with the pillars on the cars to actually spot some of the apexes. So with the sun on top of that, to try and spot the outside of the corners, it was tough. So when those lights finally popped on, and probably about halfway through the race, it was certainly a warranted thing. I was pretty happy when they popped on.
Well, mate, I mean, it's a good start to the season to see you up on the podium so early on. So opportunity to thank the sponsors. And what do you think your goal is going to be for next week as well?
Yeah, sure, yeah. So, yeah, I'd like to thank the other ILEC guys and obviously Sam Cardo, all the sponsors, the guys that put this together. And, hopefully I can continue it in. Last week was a bit of a shocker for me, actually. Had a bit of a rough run, just wrong place, wrong time in some accidents, and it was a rough run. So let's hope I put that one to bed and we can keep going. But certainly some tough competition in AM. Guys like Maverick Benson, Luke Fitt, some of the other guys there in AM. We've Guy Leach as well, just to name a few. There's a lot of tough competition, so it's not going to be easy. But let's try and keep it somewhere on the podium. That'd be good. Critically,
next week, I believe we're heading to the Temple of Speed, so one of the few places on the calendar you do not want to have an engine penalty. Turn 1, it's all been about Turn 1 and accident avoidance, accident monza's not that wide. The run down to Turn number 1 is wide, and then it narrows sharply. What's the goal to get through Turn number 1 next week?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit like this week, really. It's kind of similar how it tightens, obviously different profile corner, but I think it's just really not trying to be too aggressive, just be a little patient. And that's really what I was, particularly in the second race, because I was actually in a 3 or 4 car wide in the middle with turn 1 in the second race, and I just kind of backed out of it a little bit and just made sure I didn't make any contact and got through. And if I'd been a bit more aggressive, it might have ended badly. So I think it's just the same thing. Don't try to be silly, and let's hope no one else tries to be silly, and we can have a good race there next week.
Righto, well, that concludes proceedings here in terms of interviews. Talk to all the drivers. Big shout out, big thank you to everyone that joined us here in the commentary box here tonight, and thank you for your comments there, Christopher. Boys, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's going to take patience to get through the turn number 1 at Monza next week, and especially with an engine penalty coming for the Ferrari. Oh, damn.
Yeah, very much.
Sorry, Carl.
Very much so. It's going to change things up a little bit. And, of all the places you want an engine penalty, Monza is probably not one of them.
No, most definitely not. Speaking of engine penalties, there'll be none of that action tomorrow night when we do head back into AUSPASS territory. We've got the Thunder Series returning for another night, another instalment on a Wednesday evening. Carl, I always get this wrong, so please correct me if I do. I think we're at Texas this week. No, we're not.
We're going to be clicking our heels together 3 times and wishing we're
heading back to Kansas.
Back home because
Absolutely.
we're heading off to Kansas by the Speedway for the Thunder, and Texas will be where the Cup is at.
For the Cup is at on Thursday. There you go.
We don't have to travel far for the Cup, luckily, but we do have to get on a tornado and whisk ourselves off to Kansas tomorrow night for the Thunder Series.
I'm going to have to get Renee in the infield care centre to change my tickets. Then, otherwise, I'm going to end up in the wrong state.
Well, lights to flag in race number 1 for Danny Davison in AUSPASS, and John Merritt brings it home in race number 2. A phenomenal night here from COTA in Texas, and keep your eyes peeled for that action tomorrow night as well. It's going to be an awesome week on FGM East Cast, as it always is. The E-Place for Pace. Big shout out to all of the series sponsors. Big shout out to new partners. I actually do want to say thank you to simrigs.com for their help in securing Pass 2 victory this week. Computer Technology Corporation, Phoenix Smokers, Echuca Toyota, another series sponsor. John Merritt, part of that one. 93 PC up there on the dashes. The exact time that we needed them, boys. It's been another pleasure broadcasting with you. It always is here. It's always spicy. AUSPASS, one of the cleanest places for racing on the planet.
Absolutely, and that's it for us on FGM Ecast. So we will see you tomorrow night, 7:45 on the usual channel. And thanks to those who joined us. We will catch you then.